All right, we are live. Welcome in. Oh, wow. Okay. A lot of people joining thick and fast. I mean, it's always good to see people here on time. It's always a good start. And it means the people in the WhatsApp group were paying attention when I told them to join ahead of time to avoid connection issues. So I'm going to get my screen, I'll get everything shared, let everyone roll in because I can see a lot of people joining already. We had about 400 people in the waiting room, which is amazing. And then we will get started. So let us know in the chat where you're joining from this evening, just while I'm getting everything set up. And then we'll get stuck right in. Right, let's do that. Make sure I'm sharing that properly. Right. Cool, so you should, Rajinder from Scotland, welcome in. Welcome in from Rochester, Pip, Egypt. Oh wow, nice on holes. Oh, nice. I was going to say, how did that happen? All right, wonderful. Welcome in, Levi, Matthew. Can't keep up now. Ryan, Jennifer. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Right, so we have had a lot of registrations for this evening's event. As I was saying to the guys in the WhatsApp group who have been in there over the last couple of days, the response to this event has been absolutely incredible. We're at about 5,000 registrations, which is just absolutely insane. So we'll see how many people are with us. We're already at over 2,000 across two platforms. So I'm just going to share the link for in the WhatsApp groups, just in case anyone is having any problems joining. So that should be in there now. And the first person to tell me that they can see my screen and hear me okay gets brownie points. Yes, who was that? Who was that? Who was that? We go with Jason. Thank you very much. Jason, Ryan, Sam, everyone, amazing. All right, cool. So we're going to get started in just a second. Like I was saying, more people are still joining. So quick little bit of housekeeping. Because there are so many people joining us this evening, which is amazing. Welcome in. We are going to do what we can to manage this to give you the smoothest experience possible to ultimately make sure you get what you signed up for, right? Which is the information, the process, and everything that I talked about in the welcome videos and so on. To do that, what we're going to do is when I'm going through really critical, important elements of the system, we'll be pausing the chat just to make sure you can focus on what I'm talking about, and so you get the information you signed up to get, and then we'll reopen it at other times. That said, and pay attention here, there is going to be Q&A open throughout. So if you can't see the Q&A, if you go to the More button on your Zoom bar, if you're on Zoom, and go to Q&A, then you can post questions in there all the time. Just make sure you're only using that for questions, because if you post just random comments and things like that in there, it's going to take me longer to find the actual questions, and then if I'm not going to be able to get through as many of them as I would otherwise do so. So you'd just be doing yourself and the rest of the audience a disservice. So Derek, if the audio is bad, I know a couple of people have said the audio, can anyone else confirm that the audio is okay? Because it might be that you just need to leave and rejoin. Yeah, everyone else is saying it's fine. Okay, all good. Thank you for confirming, everyone. I appreciate it. Right, without further ado then, so if you are having any audio issues, just leave and rejoin, and then that should fix it, we find. Should we get started? I think now's a good time. Right, welcome in. So I'm so excited to have so many of you here. This is, like I said, the most incredible response we've had to any of these events before. So really, really excited. And you should be excited too, by the way, because ultimately this is the first day of your journey towards financial peace of mind and a more comfortable and earlier retirement, right? If you want it to be, of course, right? If you take action on what I teach you and tell you to do today, then it will be the start of that journey. If not, if you don't do anything, then things will just stay the same. I know it kind of goes without saying, but the circumstances that you weren't happy about, which led you to want to join this webinar in the first place, they will not improve if you do nothing, right? So please do take some form of action off of the back of this. If it's just so important. In fact, I added this in last minute, so I hope this works okay, but I wanted to add in basically something to run you through now. So this next slide, it's really just like a few snippets. It's just to show you a few people who were given the exact same system I'm about to show you during this class, okay? So here you can see we have one person who was able to put an extra £250 towards their debts per month and apply for their dream house. We have Carl, who's going to be debt-free in under 2 years when he thought it was going to take him decades. We have this, we have this, and this, and this. We have Gordon, who built a 6-month emergency fund and got through Christmas without using any debt for the first time ever, has his investments automated now fully, and will retire 12 years earlier than he ever thought possible. We have this one, and this one. This person who avoided £50,000 in interest on their debts. And we have Liesl as well, who's now going to be retiring 10 years earlier than she ever thought was going to be possible for her. And they go on. Okay. Now, if I tried to go through and show you all of the results we've gotten in the last 3.5-ish years now, it would take me an entire lifetime to go through. And obviously, we're trying to give you more of your time back, right? Not less. So I won't spend time going over each and every transformation. It's just there to show you, right, this is a proven system. It works. We've done this with a lot of people, and they're all getting quite incredible results. There is one, though. There is one case study that I really do want to show you, because if I didn't, it would be doing you a disservice. And here's why. Okay, so James was sat where you're sitting right now, watching one of the last events I hosted. He's 46, and he had no retirement plan when he found me, and also no idea how to build one himself, in his own words. He thought, again, in his own words, that he was destined to retire into poverty. He watched the event that I hosted back then, claimed the same gift that you're going to get the opportunity to claim, which I'll tell you about in a second. And within 6 weeks of being sat where you're sitting today, right now, within 6 weeks of that event, this 46-year-old who thought he was destined to retire into poverty at 67 had a money management system in place, making him £600 a month better off, 90% of his debt eliminated, a 3-month emergency fund fully funded and in place, and an investment plan and strategy that will enable him to retire comfortably at 61. Okay, so just think about what that has done for his peace of mind and his finances, because there is no reason why that couldn't be you in 6 weeks from today as well, because James has done it. What makes him any different, right? And while you think about that, actually, I'll show you quickly what he had to say about it, so you can hear from someone who's actually been sat where you're sitting right now. There we go.
When you joined, as with many people are, right, you were skeptical, and you know, and I, as I said to you, right, I encourage people to be skeptical, because there's some crazy people on the internet that will try and steal money from people. Unfortunately, I shouldn't laugh; it's terrible. But you know, and when you joined, you had a moment of like, oh, have I done the right thing? Is this all legit? Like, is this going to work out? So I suppose I wanted to ask that question for you specifically. What would you say to anyone who's maybe like having those thoughts and wonders if this is legit and that kind of thing, like, and is on the fence, but maybe doesn't want to take that leap because they're worried about that kind of risk?
Well, I can only say from my end, it is 100% legitimate. And like you say, when I signed up, but in all honesty, Joe, when I signed up, I pretty much wiped out the one bit of contingency I had, and as I've been telling my girlfriend and my friend and whatever, honestly, I already feel like it's the best money I've ever spent.
So, as you know, today I'm going to be teaching you how to secure your current and future finances, how to build wealth on autopilot, and to set yourself up to be able to retire ASAP to do what you want with your life. Okay, and using the system that I showed James and literally thousands of others at this point, this is all possible with just 15 minutes of your time per week, and also no investing experience required. Okay, so let's see who's paying attention. Drop me a yes in the chat if you want to learn how that system works, and I'll give kudos to the first person. Okay, we've got, God, it's gone too fast. I can't keep up. Wait. All right, Georgina was first. Georgina, Caroline, Gemma, Denise, Ashley, Graham, Matthew, Matt. Okay, Vera, Andre, Sandra, I can't keep up. There's too many names. Jesus. Right. Okay. It's good to see you paying attention. I will test you again in a minute and we'll see who's still with us. All right. I'm going to go and dive in right now. But while those yeses are rolling in, just to remind you, though, there is going to be a gift for a select few of you who watch until the end of the event, which is worth £600 now. So because we've had more registrations than ever before, we've actually increased this from the originally advertised £300 gift to what is now a £600 gift. And for those of you in the WhatsApp group, I hinted at this already, there is also, for a limited number of you, going to be an offer, okay? This is an exclusive opportunity, which is worth £2,000. We've never done this before, and we're not going to be doing it again. It's purely just from the response that we've had this evening. So stay tuned. Look, if you're really serious about drastically improving your finances, unlocking your future wealth potential, getting that control and peace of mind you're looking for, like everything else aside, you need to stay until the end to find out what this is, to get your hands on it, because it really is like a one-time opportunity. Okay, so let's dive in. In this webinar, I'm going to be teaching you how to truly take control of your finances. I'm going to show you the tools, the processes, and the system that will enable you to save and invest more, become debt-free faster, and how to set yourself up for that earlier, more comfortable retirement than you ever thought was possible for you, just like everyone else you saw in those comments from earlier, right, from the people in the program. But before we get into that, there's 3 things that I need you to know. If you don't know these 3 things, then everything I'm about to walk you through will kind of be pointless, because let's be honest, in this day and age, it is really, really hard to trust people you see online. And I get that. So I want you to be sure that you have full faith and trust and confidence, not only in me, but also in the system that I'm going to show you tonight, so that you actually use it. Because quite honestly, that's all I care about. I just want you to use this, because it is going to change your life. If you do, it's changed my life and the lives of those who have used it. So let me answer 3 questions. First of all, skipping ahead too many. There we go. Those 3 questions are: who am I? Why am I teaching you this? And why should you trust me? Let's be really, really open about it. Okay. So on the who am I question, why does it keep doing that? Right. On the who am I question, simply put, I am a husband and a father, really, who just wanted more for me and my family financially. And 7 years ago now, decided enough was enough. I'd been tinkering for about 2 years trying to figure things out, and then 2 years in, decided enough was enough. I wanted control over our finances. I wanted our debt gone. I wanted a nest egg for our daughter and a plan to be able to retire earlier. Okay, so I started just doing what I could to secure our finances, to pay off the debt that we had, and really just to figure out how to build wealth for our future, and also our daughter's future, who was on the way at the time. And what I did was I just began documenting my journey and my findings along the way, what I was doing to improve our situation, and posting that online. That interest became a hobby. The hobby became an obsession, as it did improve our lives and increased our wealth. And then the obsession became a business, which now has about 130 odd, 140 odd thousand followers across multiple platforms, which I now use to transform other people's lives. So right now, over 370 people have come through my program, and 100% of them are now better off, more financially secure, and set up for a more comfortable and earlier retirement than they thought was possible for them. So then that brings me to the question of, okay, so why am I teaching you how to secure your finances and build a financially secure future? And why should you trust and listen to me, right? So the answer to that is quite simple as well. It's because I really do feel like I've been where many of you are. Maybe not with the exact financial circumstances, of course, because they vary significantly and I'm not deluded, but definitely with the same financial concerns, stresses, and anxieties that you have, and also the same goals and like desires for your future, I think is fair to say, and also your family's financial security. But like you, from where I was starting, not having a clue about what to do, where to begin, or maybe just how to get yourself out of the hole you feel like you might be starting from, whatever that looks like, right? Now, I'm very glad to report that I figured it out. Gladly, it's why I'm stood here today. I've escaped my 9-to-5 at the age of 32. I'm on track to hit millionaire status literally within the next few months, worst case, the next kind of year. My wife fully retired at the age of 33, and we will both reach complete financial independence and be work optional by the age of 40. Okay, and I don't say this to brag, by the way. I say this to demonstrate what 7 years of implementing this system can look like, because I'm nothing extraordinary. I just stuck with something long enough to see the results from it. That's really what it comes down to. So I know for a fact that all of you can drastically improve your current circumstances and unlock your full wealth potential by taking action on what I'm going to be teaching you today, teaching you the system. And remember, this wasn't just something that worked for me. It worked for Ross, who's now set to retire at 50 from having no plan when he found me at 42. It worked for Angelica, who's now saving an extra £1,200 a month and now set to retire at 55. And it worked for Philip, who still can't believe he's now on track to retire at 50. Okay. In a nutshell, I'm stood here teaching you this system today because, frankly, this is everything that I wish I had at the very start of my journey. Talking of starting, that's probably the best place to start, right? Where the hell do you start is probably one of the main questions you have on your mind. And unfortunately, this is actually where 99% of people fail, by just not actually ever getting started at all, because they are stuck. And this was my exact issue when I got started. So put a yes in the chat if any of this sounds familiar. Okay. I knew I needed to do something. So I was following different social media accounts and watching YouTube videos on money and investing every day, listening to podcasts on the way to work, watching YouTube videos and scrolling socials on my lunch break, and then listening to more podcasts on the way home from work. Right. But all I got from this was overwhelm. Tell me if you can relate. Just a bombardment of information every day, getting literally like 20 different and often conflicting opinions on what you should be doing with your money, which ultimately means you do nothing because you're scared of doing the wrong thing for you, and it's sending you further behind than you already are. It's analysis paralysis, conflicting information as well. I totally agree, Zoe. It's an absolute nightmare. David, 100%. And look, I can see a lot of yeses in the chat, and ultimately, whilst I'm not glad that you can relate, because like I know it sucks to feel this way, right? To feel like you're spinning your wheels, you don't know what's applicable to you and so on. But also I'm glad and I'm excited as well at the same time, because it means you're in the right place and you now actually have the opportunity to end that cycle, which is really, really exciting. Anyway, what I realized was that kind of magic pill or secret formula that I was searching for, again, you might relate to that, that kind of secret formula that would miraculously fix my specific problems and show me what I needed to do just never fell into my lap. And I kind of quickly realized that there's just too much going on. So I realized early on that this kind of magic formula, kind of magic pill that I was looking for simply didn't exist, and that I had to create it for myself. It was the only way forwards. But doing so took me 2 years, 16 books, 180 hours of YouTube videos, and I've still got the playlist saved on there, 122 podcast episodes, and £7,000 in courses and mentorships for me to be able to understand the rules, the processes, the systems that I was going to implement, the different investing and tax strategies I could take advantage of, and to just build the tools I needed to work out where I was and how to move forwards. And that was just to be able to get started. Okay. It took from there another 7 years of trial and error and blood, sweat, and literally tears at times, not even a metaphor, and also non-stop application with a lot of students now to get this system and these tools to where they are today. And I think that's something that's really, really important to emphasize, actually, is this isn't something that I did once many years ago that might not be relevant now. And I didn't come from money, far from it, never had a single penny of a handout or anything close to it. I've never worked in any kind of six-figure finance or investment banking job at some out-of-touch money management institution like many of the financial influencers you see in the space, who kind of come from that world on these high-flying jobs and then start preaching to people like you and I as if they have any idea about what it's like to live in the real world. This system and these tools, bottom line, this is the stuff that worked for me, right? Still works for me today, and also works for the thousands of other people who are applying this system as we speak. It helped me get from a bad place to a good place, and a good place to a great place, and continues to help me now. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm still there. I'm in the trenches with you all now, still implementing this system, this stuff, still using and improving this system and these tools that I'm showing you today, so that you can continue to benefit from them. I think that's really, really important. I suppose, again, in a nutshell, let's say I've taken the process that I ended up following in the end, eliminated the guesswork that I had to endure along the way, the costly mistakes and the setbacks that I had to endure along the way, and combined this with what is now 9 years of knowledge and money coaching experience, and created a simple, structured system that you can now take advantage of today, on day one of your journey, which is an amazing opportunity, let's face it, right? If you take action, of course, right? Now, before I tell you exactly how it works and jump into the system, which I'm just about to do, I want you to know what kind of results you can expect to get when you actually implement it. Really, quite frankly, just so that you know it's going to be worth your time listening to this. Because if I got all the way to the end and I said, yeah, you're going to be 10 pence a month better off, you're not going to be too happy with that. So let me walk you through what actually happens to people on average when they implement this system. And this is based on data from about 400 students, like I said, okay? on average, the average results of those who implemented the system themselves, so not the people that are on the extremes or, you know, the outliers, these are the average results, okay? The average student is saving an extra £1,700 a month towards their investment and retirement goals. They are avoiding paying £23,000 in interest on their debts by using our structuring processes. They're becoming debt-free 10 years faster as a result of those same systems. They are set to retire on average 15 years earlier, and they are saving per student on average £468,000 over their investing lifetime in advisor and investment fees by using our system instead of an advisor charging 1.5% ongoing management fees. That is the difference. When you consider just how many years worth of expenses that 468k is for most people, you can see why we are able to help people retire so much earlier. Because if those fees stay in their pocket instead, rather than lining the pockets of their advisors, that's multiple years worth of their life that they can retire earlier. It's really quite that simple. And then we've got all of the other benefits on top of that, right? It's really quite amazing. Really what this does ultimately is it puts more money in your pocket today, keeps it there so nobody else gets it, whilst then allowing it to grow for your future. That's what this is all about. And also, the thing is, all of those people started from similar circumstances to you and I. I know that because, you know, they've found me through events like this. So they've all been sat where you're sitting right now. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been where many of you are. And if I haven't, I can absolutely guarantee now that we have helped someone in similar circumstances to you. And this system has made them better off than they were previously. Those on a low income and unsure how to build any kind of wealth, those on a good income but feeling like they had nothing to show for it, with no kind of like confidence in their future, those feeling maybe stuck in a cycle of debt with no way out to escape them, and those who have no plan for their future, wanting an alternative to the prospect of working until they are 70. You know, we're talking about people who maybe have received inheritances or divorce settlements who've got no idea what to do with the money and want to make sure it's working for them and their kids for the future. People who have already retired but have no idea what to do with their pots and no idea what they can and can't afford to do in retirement and are living in fear now when they've worked their whole lives for this period, right? These are the people that we're helping day in and day out. So whether these people are starting in their 20s or their 60s, all of them are now set to be able to retire earlier or have better clarity over their retirement than they thought was ever going to be possible for them, with more income than they thought they would have in retirement as well. So what was my turning point, right? Let me tell you about this and why I'm actually kind of like doing this, because I think this is important. And then I'm going to walk you through the system. So my turning point was when I received a letter from my workplace pension provider telling me that this was when I was 24, telling me that I would have to work until I was 82 if I wanted a modest 20k a year income in retirement, right? So 24-year-old me being told I was going to have to work for another 58 years at the time, which obviously led to quite a bit of panic and kind of almost like a bit of laughter of like, what, this can't be real. How is this possible? I needed to talk to an expert is what I thought, because I wasn't one at the time, admittedly. So I had a chat with a pension advisor at work, and frankly, what he told me kind of just confirmed that I had no chance of retiring early, at the very least, or having the life and future I wanted if I just blindly followed the path that the system wanted me to follow, right? Especially if I depended at all on advisors to help me or the government to support me. And that, sadly, is what 99% of people are doing. Through no fault of your own, by the way, simply because we are not educated on how to properly manage our finances, avoid bad debt, plan for retirement. At the very least, they could show us how to use these workplace pensions we're all given when we're thrust out into the workforce. But they don't even tell us how to get the most out of those, right? And it is absolutely criminal, if you ask me. But what I've come to realize is that, unfortunately, the bottom line is the knowledge, the structure, and the tools you need to achieve your full financial potential are not readily available for free. And because of this, most people just make a mess of their finances and get stuck working into later life full of anxiety and the fear of retiring into poverty, right? And that's not what I want for you. The solution that was offered to me by the advisor at work was save more, right? He wanted me to work up to a 20% pension contribution at the time within the next 5 years, which was impossible for me, right? I was 24 at the time, making 24k a year back in 2014. I was renting a flat with my then girlfriend, my wife now, Haley, and we wanted to save for a house, get engaged, get married, start a family, right? All the things that a young couple want to do that, as I'm sure many of you know, you're probably nodding your heads thinking, this is all the most expensive things you'll ever do with your life. And this advisor was like, yeah, just save 20% of this salary when there's not even 20% left at the end of each month, right? How the hell was I supposed to do that? I had two options as I saw it. I could keep doing what I was doing, accept the status quo, just bury my head in the sand, hope for the best, keep living paycheck to paycheck, accrue more and more debt for the things society told me I needed, whilst I tried to cobble together the money for a house and a family, only to retire when I was 82, if I made it that far. Life expectancy for males, by the way, in the UK, 79 and plateauing at the moment, starting to drop. So it wasn't looking too good. Anyway, let's put it that way. That was option one. Or option two, okay, I could invest my time and the little money I did have into learning how to manage and invest my money the right way, with the goal of escaping my 9 to 5 whenever I could and setting myself up to retire ASAP. Just any time before 82 was going to be a win at that point, right? And now you're going to have two options as well later on. But the outcome for me for taking option two is I've now wiped 42 years off of my retirement age. Okay. And man, am I glad I invested in myself when I had the chance, because now I have control of my time, of my money, my future, right? I've got certainty, I have clarity. And above all, honestly, I just have confidence about where I'm headed in life. It's something that's really hard to put a price on, but just confidence about knowing what my future looks like and when I'm going to get there. It's a really, really good feeling. And this is exactly what you'll have as well when you implement this system, by the way. All you need, because I know there will be a lot of questions, and most of those will be, will this work for me because I'm X age and I do this, or I don't have this, or whatever it is, right? All you need for this system to work, and this is based on the results of nearly 400 people, all you need is an income and the desire for a better future. That's it. Because that's all anyone had when they started working with me. And I've personally watched all of them go on to succeed. Okay. The bottom line is everyone who implements this system will benefit from it, right? Whether you are young, old, low income, high income, no debt versus lots of debt, you will end up better off, more financially secure, and retiring years earlier than you otherwise would have or thought was possible for you, with confidence in your future and hundreds of thousands of pounds more in the investment accounts that you maybe don't even have yet, or that just simply aren't working as hard as they could be for you right now. So who is this training for? If you want a solid plan in place for your current and future finances, if you want to learn how to manage and grow your money effectively, if you want to make sure that the money you make is going to good use and working at least as hard for you as you work for it, if not harder, if you want to become debt-free sooner, if you want to invest for your family's future as well as your own, if you want to be able to retire when you choose rather than when the government tells you can, and preferably, sooner rather than later. And if you just want to be in control of your life, right, putting all the other stuff aside, if you just want to be in the driver's seat of your life and your financial future, then this training is for you. If you're not interested in those things, or you're looking for some kind of get rich quick scheme, then you have come to the wrong event tonight. So do feel free to leave now if that is you. If, however, you want an actionable guide, and I mean an actionable guide that you can use to achieve all of this yourself, for one last time, drop a yes in the chat. Let's see who's still paying attention, and then we'll get straight into it. I don't know who that first one was, but I can see yeses from Ryan, Zoe, Lauren, Lucia. Can't keep up. Good to see you're all still paying attention. Amazing stuff. Right, I'm going to get into it then, whilst those last few yeses are rolling in. And don't forget, as I'm going through this, we are going to be right. Yeah. So make sure you use the Q&A, because as I'm going through this, my business partner and stuff will be taking notes from the Q&A and letting me know the most commonly asked questions, and we will be going through those. Okay. So let me get started. Now, I'm going to show you the financial freedom framework. Not in theory, but the exact sequence that makes it work. Okay, this is the unique step-by-step system that eliminates the guesswork from money management and investing and helps you build wealth on autopilot. And when I say the unique step-by-step system. I mean that. This is everything that you're about to see. Every tool, every step, every process has been built by me from the ground up over the last 7 to 9 years, okay? You cannot, unfortunately, find this anywhere online, and you cannot, unfortunately, get AI to do this for you. We've tried to save me time, and it doesn't work, okay? So pens at the ready, because it's about to change from here. Phase 1 of the 5-phase system is the baseline phase. I mean, take notes here, okay? In this phase, this is where we are going to determine your current state. And this is absolutely key. After all, how will you know how to get to where you want to be if you don't already know where you are right now? Okay, you need a point A and a point B in order to map the most efficient route between those 2 points. So you cannot skip this step. Everyone wants to, and then they fall flat on their face. This is, quite frankly, all about facing the uncomfortable truths and harsh realities that most people choose to ignore. And that is exactly why most of those people won't retire until they are nearly dead at the end of the day. So if you don't want to be those guys, you need to do this. We're also going to clarify and refine the goals you have to the critical few that will move the needle, okay? We're going to cut out the waste in your current spending habits, not the fun. We'll ensure that you are prioritizing the expenses that provide you and your family with experiences and happiness and fulfillment. At the end of the day, this is not about living on rice and beans just to be able to retire a few years earlier. That is not what this is about. It's about helping you find the balance so that you can live well now, but ensure that you can continue living well for the rest of your days without having to work until you're dead, like those other people we talked about. And finally, in this phase, we're going to map out the plan for achieving your short and medium-term goals, such as, becoming debt-free, if that's applicable for you. And I appreciate that's not applicable for everyone. If that's not, then we just skip that. We don't need that. We don't need to do that piece. But if it is, then we will do that. So short-term goals such as becoming debt-free, saving an emergency fund, putting down payment on a house, that kind of stuff, right? So on. Now, the order in which you do those things, the order in which you attack those short and medium-term goals depends entirely on your specific circumstances. Do them in the wrong order, and it will cost you more and delay your progress as a result. So you need to make sure you build out the most financially efficient route. And the gift I have for you at the end will help with that, okay? Now, I want to re-emphasize how critical this phase is, especially the part around understanding your current state. Okay, because what this comes down to, you need to know what your current monthly expenses are today for 2 distinct reasons. Firstly, so that you know what free cash flow you have to achieve your short-term goals, i.e. saving an emergency fund or debt elimination. And secondly, to be able to accurately estimate what your desired lifestyle is going to cost when you are financially free. Now, we call this your FI number, or financial independence number, okay? Now, we have a simple, structured process and tool that we use to ensure this is as painless as possible to figure out, but it also helps to ensure that it's not only accurate, but also optimized. That's the difference, okay? That's what you get when you have a plug-and-play system on day one at the end of the day. No guesswork, you can hit the ground running, immediately collect the low-hanging fruit that you didn't even know was available to you until I just handed it to you on a plate, which is nice. It just, like I said, it eliminates the guesswork, the costly mistakes, the uncertainty, fear, and delays that most people face when they try to do this on their own. Now, you need to make a note, okay? To get a rough idea of that FI number, that financial independence number, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply your current monthly expenses by 12 to get your yearly expenses, then multiply that number by 25 to get your FI number, just like you see with the example on the slide. That is a rough estimate of the amount of money you need saved or invested to never have to work again, because the drawdown you take from it over time covers your expenses and will continue to grow with the exposure to the right passive investments, if you know how to choose them, at a rate that is higher than that which you are making withdrawals to ensure that you never run out. Okay, now this is the most well-studied retirement income strategy that you've never heard of. It's known as the 4% rule, or SWR, which is a safe withdrawal rate, which was determined from the Trinity studies conducted by Trinity University. Okay, again, the gift I have for you at the end will walk you through my proprietary process, which is far more in depth than what you see here, to make sure that the figure you get is not only accurate, but also we then show you how to iterate on that calculation as your circumstances change over time, because this is a living plan, because you are living a life, right? And things change. And that's important so that you can adjust it over time so that it stays accurate. And that means you can make small adjustments over time rather than not looking at your numbers for 5 years and then having to start from scratch because they no longer make sense at a point of time at which you've forgotten how to do it because it's been so long. So we help you just avoid all of that pain, give you a system that you set up once, keep ticking over once a year. I'm talking literally 15 to 20 minutes of work per year on this piece. And that's it, just to have a living plan that shows you exactly when you're going to be able to retire, exactly how much income you're going to have in retirement, and so on and so forth. Game changer. The key outcome of phase one, as you can imagine, because we've done a lot there, is clarity. Once you know all of that, it's going to show you exactly where you stand today financially, the good, the bad, and the ugly and worse. And it's also going to give you crystal clear goals that you are 110% committed to achieving. Then we get into phase two, and that is the push phase. This is where probably about 90% of the transformation actually happens. So what we're going to do here, just going to take my shirt off because I'm getting a bit warm, is you're going to install a zero-based money management system that gives you complete visibility and control of your monthly finances using a rinse and repeat wealth building system. Okay. You're also going to automate the tracking of your assets, liabilities, and net worth and begin executing on your short and medium-term goals at the same time. In parallel to that, you're going to build out the investment plan and strategy you'll be implementing to achieve your retirement goals. And I've got more on this later, so stay tuned. You can see there, though, this is really, really important, that at the bottom of the slide, this is where we set up your pillars of personal finance, which is what I want to tell you about now. You see, most people would leave this out, but every good financial roadmap needs to cover all three of these pillars. Otherwise, it will fall apart sooner or later. Okay. And the later it falls apart, the more painful it's going to be because the more work you're going to have to redo. So to avoid that, we need to get these set up first. And they sound simple on the face of it, but there are levels to this game that you might not understand. Okay. So pillar number one is all about tracking. Oh, I skipped a slide there. So those three pillars are tracking your money, saving your money, and investing your money. Again, they sound simple on the surface, but there are levels to this, okay? Everything I ever teach you about money will come back to one of these three pillars, which is why I wanted to go over these today, okay? Pillar number one is all about tracking your income versus your outgoings, which is taken care of in this monthly balance sheet. You enter your income, you set a plan, and you track your actual spend against that plan. There is 0 point in setting a plan, but failing to track your actuals against it, and even less point in tracking your spending if it's not being tracked against a target, right? And this is exactly what most people are doing. People are either doing one or the other. And if you're not doing both, you are wasting your time. You need to do both in order to get the feedback you need to be able to improve each month. Without it, like I said, you're wasting your time. You might as well do neither of them. Also, the most painful part is if you're already doing one, it takes an extra couple of minutes per month, if that, to be able to get all of the information you need to be able to really transform your monthly finances. Total time, we're talking a maximum of about 30 minutes per month, but it gives you in that time just complete awareness and control over what's going on with your money, which really important when you consider that not having visibility and awareness of your finances is the root cause of bad financial decisions and the gateway to debt, because people don't understand the impact of their spending decisions. They do things on a whim, they don't know the impact, and then it impacts them negatively. Or even if it's not, they just don't know what the impact's going to be. Suddenly they feel spending guilt, and it just eliminates all that uncertainty. You know what you can do, you know what you can't do. You can crack on with your life and live happily. You're also going to track your savings and investments here, any home equity and assets you have here, and all of your debts in this tab. And all of that information then feeds into this final tab automatically, which automatically calculates your net worth for you. Now, this is powerful because it's like seeing the monthly health status of your finances, which quite frankly is something you are missing out on if you don't have it. Because what I always say is, like, it helps you to see the long-term impact of your short-term financial decisions. And as a result, it encourages you to make decisions that will push that number up over time rather than down. And that's only going to make you wealthier, which is what we all want, because that means more freedom and flexibility, right? So it is just some kind of like visual psychological trickery at the end of the day that makes you better off. It's really, really nice. Now, again, I want to emphasize here that the simple act of just tracking your monthly spending against a plan in that first tab I showed you will do wonders for your financial habits, because it will make you more aware of how you spend your money. And by doing this, you will be able to immediately pinpoint bad spending habits and eliminate them, right? After all, you can't change a bad habit if you don't know you have one. The second pillar is saving money, pillar 2 of 3. And saving money is a term I use lightly, because you cannot save your way to wealth. You might have heard that before. What I mean by that is you can obviously save money on your outgoings, for example, by cutting waste from your expenses. But that's a zero-sum game at the end of the day, because you can only cut your expenses so much before all you are left with is nothing but a roof over your head and food in the fridge and a very miserable existence, right? So you cannot save your way to wealth with that approach, because it's not sustainable. People won't stick to it. And secondly, you can save spare money in a savings account. That's the kind of second way of looking at this pillar. But the problem with that is savings have never, through history, kept up with inflation. So it is physically and also mathematically impossible to save enough to become wealthy enough to be able to retire. So again, you cannot save your way to wealth with that approach. For that reason, there are very few justifications for using a savings account versus investing responsibly for the long term. Okay, a couple of examples of why you would use savings, for example, would be maybe an emergency fund, liquid accessible cash, down payment or a deposit for a house, savings for a wedding, anything you want in the next kind of 3 to 5 years. In those examples, make full use of the best HYSAs you can find to keep inflation at bay. It's a high yield savings account for those who don't know. Otherwise, if you don't, then your money is devaluing at 3, 4, 5% a year right now. Inflation right now is probably edging closer to 4, 5%. Cumulatively for the last 6 years, we're talking nearly 30% now. So anything you've had in savings over that period of time is worth 30% less in purchasing power. And it blows my mind how many people come to us and we find that they've got sometimes tens, maybe even 6 figures plus in savings, right? I'm talking about tens of thousands there. Sometimes, like I say, 6 figures plus in savings, earning maybe 1.5%, if that, and immediately we can get that earning 4, 5, 6, 7% by just getting it into the right savings accounts that we are aware of, that most people just aren't, because they don't have an ear to the ground like we do. And that is the difference, the kind of difference we can make immediately, literally in the space of a few minutes. Okay, so that is pillar number 2 of 3. Pillar number 3 is where it gets exciting. This is the pillar that everyone wants to jump to, and that is investing. Investing, it goes without saying, is the most powerful part of all of this. However, do not contemplate putting a penny into the stock market or any other asset for that matter, whether that's commodities, crypto, anything. Don't do any of that stuff until you have a solid grip of your monthly finances with a good money management system in place, debt freedom, and an emergency fund. And let me explain why. You need a money management system first so that you know how much you are able to invest and have maximized this figure as much as possible. There is no point in saying, oh, I'm going to invest X £100 per month. Okay, then what? How do you know if that's enough? Is that tied to an end goal? If you determine what the end goal is that enough to get to that end goal in a certain time frame? If you even assess the time frame that you've got, how do you know that you can even afford to do that every single month if some certain things come up? How do you know you couldn't actually afford to do more? Right? You can quickly see how that's not, effective or efficient. You also need debt freedom, because there is 0 point in investing for a potential 8-9% yearly ROI when you're paying 29% interest on your high interest credit card debt, right? That math doesn't stack up. You need to get your high interest debt gone first. Don't care what anyone says. And finally, you need an emergency fund so that you are never put in a position where you need to sell off a part or maybe even all of your portfolio to cover an unexpected emergency, because doing so will put your compounding in reverse and completely throw you off course from achieving your goals. Okay, I want to emphasize this. Anyone who tells you otherwise does not have your best interests at heart. Anyone who tells you should be investing anything in anything before having these 3 things in place, they're doing that because they're going to be benefiting more from you getting started than you will. Okay, so don't listen to them. Get these things in place first, and then you can move forward from there, right? Once you have those pillars in place, then you can determine your investing strategy, and that will depend on your goals, your risk tolerance, and your time horizon. And quite frankly, that is exactly, why it's so important to have an investment plan, portfolio, and buying strategy built and tailored to you and your circumstances, as well as the education you need to give you the confidence you need to actually implement it yourself. Okay. That's the difference we make. So if you're unsure how to do any, or maybe even all of those things, right, you'll have the opportunity to equip yourself with that knowledge later with your gift. For now, I want you to ask yourself, do you have money sat in an account right now, not invested, devaluing because you don't know how to invest it? Or are you scared you'll do the wrong thing with it? Do you have investments that aren't working as hard as you'd like, but you're kind of unsure of the alternatives that are, low maintenance, aren't going to require you to sit in front of a screen, but also won't keep you up at night, right? It's all good and well buying that thing that your friend told you to buy, that crypto, that stock, or whatever it was. But if that's going to keep you up at night, that's not a sustainable strategy. That's just a whim and a hope and a prayer. That's not a strategy that's going to get you to your goals. I see people already answering yes in the chat, but I do want you to think about this. Okay, answer this question for me. Pay attention. Do you think you'd waste less money each month if you had a solid investment plan tied to a clear goal, which gave you confidence over how much you needed to invest at the start of the month, right? So if you knew at the start of the month how much you needed to invest to achieve your own goal, do you think you'd waste less money? I see everyone literally streams for sure. Yes, Vicky, I know, right? So why aren't you doing it then? Right? And this is kind of like the epiphany moment for a lot of people. And they're like, well, yeah, I just kind of need the plan. And it's like, okay, well, why haven't you built the plan? For then it's kind of like, well, I haven't had the time. I don't know how. I don't know where to start. Kind of all that thing that we talked about earlier, that overwhelm, right? Confidence. Exactly, Victoria, sorry. Now, look, getting back to the point, the problem is if you answered yes to any of those questions, and I think pretty much everyone did, then you are falling behind. Because that money that you're not investing is money that we could be using to buy back your time in the future. The bottom line is if you have no plan, or even just kind of a plan, your money is devaluing at an alarming rate because of inflation, and your freedom is slipping further and further away each day. That's not my opinion. That's just the math of it. It's how it works. Okay, so think about that for a second and take the appropriate action when you can. Okay, and I'm going to talk about those actions in a minute. The outcome for phase 2, though, as you can imagine, after doing all of that work, like I said, 90% of the transformation is visibility and control. Having a solid understanding of how you're going to turn your situation around and achieve your goals, as well as exactly how long it will take. You start being able to look forward on your future and kind of see what's coming, and it's all good things, right? Phase 3. Now the foundations are set, we scale. No more guesswork. No, should I pay off my mortgage or invest confusion. You eliminate your debt if applicable to you, but not your mortgage in most cases. And if you don't have debt, then we jump straight ahead to your emergency fund. For your emergency fund, it's not just a case of throwing together a number. It's a case of risk assessing your particular life circumstances and determining how much you need, then looking at what you already have, seeing if there's a gap between what you have and what you need. And if there is a gap, how are we going to bridge that? And if we've got a really solid understanding of your circumstances and finances from the previous 2 phases, we know exactly how much you've got and therefore exactly how long it's going to take to save that, get the right HYSA set up, and we then got an exact timeline to know exactly when you're going to have that. If there isn't a gap and actually you've got a surplus on top of what you need, then we make sure we take that surplus and we put that to work somewhere else to get you to your retirement goal sooner rather than later, rather than sitting more money than we need to be sat there wasting away, right? So there's a lot to this, but this is where we kind of help with that. We automate your payments, your contributions, and finance tracking processes, and begin executing on your investment plan and strategy for financial freedom as well in this phase. So this is where it gets really, really exciting. The outcome for that phase is empowerment. As I'm sure you can imagine, you know how much, where to put it, in what order, and why. All mapped out on a document. You know exactly what you got to do. Phase 4 is the momentum phase. This stage, the system, by this point, the system is really kind of just running itself. The work, the hard work is like 99% done. So it's just a case of watching your fortune build now, as crazy as that sounds. You'll have zero debt, often not including your mortgage, emergency fund in place, investments compounding, and also scaling your contributions. Your savings rate will be topping 40% by this point. Now, if someone had said to me at the start of my journey that I'd ever be saving, double digits of my income, I'd have laughed. my savings rate when I got started was 2%. For the last year or so, it's been topping 50 to 60% in some months. Okay. It's always been above 50, but it's been hitting 60% in some months. And it just blows my mind. But again, I'm 7 to 9 years deep in this. So that's just the difference it makes sticking to a strategy for long enough to see the results. The outcome from this phase, though, is unstoppable momentum. Right. Again, as I'm sure you can imagine, financial freedom at this point is now an inevitability because you've got the system in place and you're working towards it and you're executing on it. Right. It's not a case of if it will happen. It's just a case of when and how much faster can you make it happen to get there sooner. Right. You're literally on the cusp of complete time, location, and financial freedom. And this is where I'm at right now. Then we hit the ultimate phase, the freedom phase. This is where work becomes optional. Not because you won the lottery, but because you followed a proven system. You're debt-free, often including your home at this point. Not always, depends if it's optimal or not. And we risk it. Again, we assess that for each individual based on each individual that we work with. But you're also going to be financially free and no longer dependent on anyone or any employer because your passive income is taking care of all of your financial needs. And because you are mortgage free by this point with a 6 to 7 figure portfolio for most people, your net worth will be well in excess of $1 million. Often what we're looking at projected is a net worth of around 1 to 3 million for most people. Sometimes a bit higher, sometimes a bit lower. They don't need it. But for most people, it's between 1 and 3 million, which again, if someone had said to me at the start of my journey that I'd one day be technically a millionaire, I'd have laughed. But my net worth at the end of April hit 922,000. So I'm literally, a continued stock market rally and a few more contributions away from crossing millionaire status. And that just is insane. And again, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying what is possible after 7 years of taking action consistently against a proven system. That really is what it comes down to. The outcome from that phase is FU money. The freedom to do what you want, when you want, for as long as you want, without ever having to ask for permission, because it's all mapped out and you're there now. And that's it, right? It turns out that kind of secret formula that we were talking about earlier for financial freedom that we've all been looking for is actually incredibly simple. Tailored plan plus consistency multiplied by patience. If you consistently save, track, and invest your money against a tailored plan, so a plan tailored to you, built around this system, and have patience for 5, 10 plus years, it's impossible that you fail to hit your financial goals. People only fail when they start to save and invest without having their pillars or a solid, structured financial roadmap in place. And then as a result, they don't have clear goals and milestones that keep them on track. And without the direction and conviction that comes with having those goals and milestones, they take money out of their investments or they sell out of their investments and they just kill their progress, right? And that's the worst thing you can do. So just don't be that person, right? Follow this process, stick to it every single month. And one day you will check your portfolio only to realize you've now hit your FI number and you never have to work again. You can hand in your notice, your retirement notice, and live freely no matter what age you're at because you're in control. Okay. Now, I know some of you will be sat there thinking, okay, does this really work? Will it work for me? Do I have enough money to achieve these things? And the answer to all three of those questions is yes. It's all relative, of course, right? Everyone's in different circumstances. But what I know is that everyone can improve their finances and future prospects with this process. And I can say that with confidence because I've personally helped 377 people who've applied it do exactly that. It's kind of that simple. So let's run through some numbers just to kind of show you, because I appreciate I don't know your exact numbers and we've got like thousands of people on the call. So let's run through some figurative numbers to demonstrate what you stand to gain here. And we'll use some worst case figures in this as well. So the average person implementing this system, like we talked about earlier, is able to save and invest an extra £1,700 a month, right? Worst case, after 12 months of action, is they have about £1,000 a month more going into their investment accounts, so pensions, ISAs, and so on and so forth. So let's say that you're starting with 10K, just for argument's sake. Some people might not have that. A lot of people will actually have a lot more than that if you've been paying into any workplace pension for a long time. But let's just say that you got 10K flat across all of your investments and savings, right? And that you end up with £1,000 more per month invested as part of this process after following it. Well, after just 15 years, that would have compounded to be worth £473,000. So you just made yourself £500,000 richer than you otherwise would have been by just taking action and implementing a proven system, right? Leave your money there for 10 more years and that'll amassed to 1.4 million. This is the magic of compounding, right? You're starting to see here the power of compound interest and why the clock really is ticking though when it comes to benefiting from compound interest. Because after 30 years, if it's sat there for long enough, your 1K a month investment will be worth a whopping 2.4 million, right? Based on those assumed rates of return. So a quick recap, just to kind of go over the numbers again. You could feasibly, as we've seen through the results of hundreds of people who have already done this, you could save an extra grand or more per month after implementing this system and then invest that money like the other people we've helped do, right? Using a simple set and forget strategy that you'll learn as part of this system and then potentially accrue £2.4 million. Again, relative to where your circumstances are in your time horizon. So pretty insane, right? Even if we go on the worst case numbers. But what if you already have your money invested with maybe an advisor, money manager managing it for you? Well, let's run some numbers there as well. Let's assume, and be fair to them, that they get the same rate of return as the funds and example portfolios that we build. And actually, you can fact check this, statistically, 70% of them fail to match the performance of those portfolios, right? Nearly 3/4 of them, of these overpaid managers, fail to match it, let alone beat it. But let's assume that they can at least match it. So if you're paying a combined 1.5% fee, and a lot of people are paying 1.8 plus, you would end up with £562,000 less in your pocket by continuing to line the pockets of your advisor. Use this system instead, and based on this illustration and these numbers, of course, not yours, but this illustration and these numbers, just to go and give you an insight. If you follow this system instead, based on these numbers, you'll have £562,000 more potentially in your pocket in retirement. It's just a no-brainer, in my opinion. But do you want to know the crazy part here as well? Fees and everything aside, for most of you, these numbers could be very much worst case. And I say that seriously, okay? Firstly, because most people are starting with a lot more than 10K. Like we talked about earlier, if you've been paying into a workplace pension for any long period of time, you've probably got multiple tens of thousands, maybe even 6 figures plus. And it's fine if you don't, if you're starting from scratch. We've helped people starting from less than nothing with negative net worth, just like I was when I got started. But for most people, they're starting with more than 10K and are already making regular payments into pensions or investment accounts. And that wasn't factored into these numbers we just ran, which is why these are very much worst case. But on top of that, secondly, when you follow this specific system, my specific system, we don't only look at your investments in isolation like a traditional financial advisor would, okay? We ensure that every single aspect of your finances are fully optimized from the ground up, meaning we get your expenses optimized so that they remain the same, so you're in control. They remain the same as your income increases. And as that happens, the gap between the two increases, that means your cash flow is increasing consistently. Your contributions to your workplace pensions then increase over time. As a result, you gain additional tax relief via our account structuring optimizations, which means more money flowing into your accounts at no extra cost to you. On top of that, your monthly free cash flow that can be put towards your personal investments outside of pensions also increases. And before you know it, after maybe 12 months or more, you're contributing way more than you ever thought you could. So you'll likely achieve more than these numbers, again, depending on the timeline mainly, but that's only if you have the right plan in place and start today. That's really, really the key. Now, I've made sure that everyone who implements this system with me can take full advantage of the compounding effect ASAP, and that they have a fully optimized plan, really just with as much free cash flow as possible to pump into this money multiplying phenomenon, because it is a game changer. Because ultimately, when it comes to compound interest, the earlier you start and the more you have in there, the more your money will grow and the faster it will grow. It's really just the maths of it. Again, not an opinion, just how compounding works. Now, some might hear that and think, well, is it too late for me? Because I'm maybe, 50 whatever or 60 whatever. Let me tell you about someone who thought he was getting started too late. Neil was 49 and he had a ton of debt when he started using my strategies. But We were able to save him £110,000 on his debt repayment plan and still shaved 9 years off of his retirement age, despite the fact that he was starting at 49. You might be older than 49, but if we can shave 9 years off of Neil's retirement age and you're 55, there's still massive room for improvement, right? Every year, every month of extra freedom is an improvement. And here's what Neil had to say about getting his plan in place.
I mean, I think what I would say is, having come into this at 49 without a plan to get to 60, which is my retirement age in my head, it's helped me with that. I mean, if I was coming into this plan, a bit into the academy, sorry, as a younger man or woman, I think it's incredibly powerful. I mean, I think I'd probably be retired already if I came, if I came into this when I was 29. I think I'd already have a plan to retire at my age now, right? So,
yeah.
But even having come to it late, I suppose the point I'd make, even having come to it quite late in the party, is that I can still see an enormous benefit, and it's 100% worth the investment. And I think your style, Joe, is very friendly, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. We all are quite open with each other. We've all, made mistakes, and financially or otherwise in the past, and it's quite an open forum. We talk openly, and I think it's very, very helpful. I think anyone would be doing themselves a big favor to join. Honestly, I think it's very powerful.
So, if this incredibly powerful and simple process, as Neil puts it, is all it takes, which is obviously what I'm saying, then why isn't everyone doing this and able to retire early? It's a fair question. And the answer, again, is really simple. It's because until now, you simply haven't had the opportunity to gain the education on all of the stuff that actually matters, right, without the fluff, and then a proven structured system to follow, right, from day one, which we now know works, as well as then getting the tools you need, which are built to work with that specific system as you work through it, right? And once all of those kind of three things are in place, you'll have control, visibility over your finances, clarity over the steps you need to take. And that kind of clarity is what gives you the confidence you need to make good, regular, good, informed financial and investment decisions, because you'll know that they are going to drive you closer to your specific, clearly defined end goal. If you understand that doing something is going to equal, XYZ, and doing option B is going to equal ABC, and XYZ is what you want, then, and you understand why and how that's going to work, you're obviously going to be more likely to do it. So much of what I do is just allowing people to make data-driven, informed decisions. And it's just an absolute game changer. So they're no longer winging it and guessing and hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. It just removes all of that. So it is a game changer. And this is ultimately that confidence, that clarity, having that visibility. That's what allows you to begin looking forward on your future with certainty and excitement, rather than uncertainty and fear and dread, which is, I think, what a lot of people feel when they look forward on their future. I think the bottom line here, until you follow a structured system like this, you're not going to make the progress you want to see, because, let's face it, you have lives and families and hobbies to get on with. You don't have the time to figure this all out for yourself. Otherwise, you would have done it by now, right? If we're really honest, just follow this strategy, stay disciplined, and don't do anything stupid, right? That's what Reese did. You can watch his video on my YouTube. It's nearly half an hour long. We had a really good chat, but it's really, really, it's a great video. Now, Reese found me at 28. He earned really good money, but him and his wife found themselves living paycheck to paycheck, stressed about money. They were in tens of thousands of pounds worth of debt. They were living with his dad for what they thought was going to be 3 years before they'd be able to buy their own house, with their 3 boys, by the way. And best case, thought they were going to maybe be able to retire by 68, but it hadn't even got on their radar, right? After just 8 weeks of working through the system, using the tools and with my help, they are now $2,500 a month better off. They're no longer stressed about opening their online banking app. They've paid off 90% of their debt and saved $4,000 in interest as a result of just moving some things around they never would have considered before, until someone like me came along and said, why don't you consider doing X, Y, and Z? Here's what the results might be if you did, option A or option B. And they said, oh, obviously that's a no-brainer. But it took that for them to be able to see it, because they would never have thought that before, because they're not educated on the stuff, unlike me and my coaches, right? But the biggest win for these guys is that by fully implementing this system, it's now only going to take them 10 months to be able to buy their first house together, Right. So from thinking it was going from living with his dad with their 3 boys for what they thought was going to be at least 3 years before they'd be able to buy their first house. That's a long time, to 10 months. Oh, and he's cut 21 years off of his retirement age. The reason most people don't achieve results like this is because they put it off and they let life happen to them rather than jumping on an opportunity like this when they see it and making the life they want to have happen. That's literally the only difference. So I've got 2 scenarios here to demonstrate the cost of putting it off, the cost of delaying, right? We've got Jean on the left and Joanna on the right. They're the exact same age, for argument's sake. They're both 30. Both of them want to be able to retire by 60 with a 40 grand a year income to cover their needs, which will require a £1 million portfolio based on the SWR, which we talked about earlier. Both of them also have £550 a month that they can invest. Jean is great. We like Jean. She starts today and she ends up with £1,050,000 at the age of 60 as a result, giving her an income of 42 grand a year. That's an extra 2 grand a year for more travel and leisure, right? The thing she likes doing, bonus. Joanna, on the other hand, puts it off because now's not a great time, right? How many times have we heard that before? She starts 12 months later, and as a result of that 1 year delay, that's all it was, she ends up with £93,000 less than Jean because of the lost compounding. And that means 4 grand less in income per year in retirement than she needs. And obviously that doesn't meet her income requirements. And that means she has to cut back on the travel and the fun and the things she likes doing in retirement, just so she can cover her bills and the things she has to pay for. Waiting for, the right time is going to leave you worse off by literally tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds, because that gap isn't 93,000 every year. It grows exponentially with compounding every year you wait. And also, the less time you have and the more you need than 1 million versus this example, the bigger that gap grows every year, by the way. These numbers on the slide here, take them with a pinch of salt because they assume that you're starting from 0, but and most of you aren't, but it's still a great illustration of how much it costs you to wait, how much it costs you to delay, or how much it even costs you to figure it all out for yourself, which is obviously always going to take longer than having someone who's already done it do it for you, of course, right? You get the idea. So tell me, are you really too busy to save yourself £93,000, like the example we saw with Jean and Joanna? All right, if we're honest with ourselves, it's not worth the cost. Right? No one is too busy to save themselves that much. And frankly, waiting for the right time, it's not an excuse your future self is going to be happy with when you are stuck working into your 60s and 70s when you know it could have been avoided. If you watched any of the videos we've done, there's like 20 plus interviews we've done for the people who've implemented this system with me. Every single one of them wishes they'd started sooner. And that's all there is to say about that, really. So here's what we've covered so far. You know that your problems can be fixed and your goals and desires achieved with this system, right? You've heard from the people who've done it. You've seen the system laid out for you in detail with the outcomes once you complete each phase. You know the power of compound interest and the importance of getting an investment plan in place sooner rather than later and something that's tailored to you. And you've seen what it's going to cost you as well if you don't, right? With every month you wait and every mistake you make amounting to literally tens of thousands of pounds extra that you will either be short of in retirement or have to contribute extra out of your own pocket to catch up if you don't start today, right? And those, again, not an opinion, just how the maths works, okay? Some of the things you might be thinking at this point. Will this work for me? It's probably the most commonly asked question that we get. So, as you've seen, I've worked with people across all demographics, ages, income ranges, starting points. Every single one of them are now better off. I've worked with people in the NHS, local government, those on 100% commission roles, limited company owners and sole traders, those who had debt, those who had no debt, those who were, decades from retirement, and those who are already in retirement but want to figure out what the hell they're doing with their money. Ultimately, no matter, where they were at before, all of them now know how to achieve their specific goals and are on the path to achieving them as we speak. It really kind of is that simple. Next thing you might be thinking, I'm afraid I'll lose money. And I get that. I totally understand, especially when it comes to, obviously, we normally hear this from people who haven't invested before. And I get it, right? Getting started with investing is daunting, especially if you've ever been burnt before, and we've all been there, including myself. But this is why I am so keen on not just providing you with a plan and a bunch of steps and expecting you to blindly follow it like most people out there would do, but actually providing you with the education you need on all of the processes and the strategies we'll use to achieve your goals so that you have the confidence you need to enact the steps I give you. And that is where the difference is made. Okay, because most people don't do that. Ultimately, when it comes to investing, investments go down as well as up over time. It's an inherent necessary part of how the market works. And this is exactly one of the things that we will teach you. But what we know is that the market, if you invest right via our investment strategies, the market has averaged a 10.9% annualized positive return over the last 50 years. And we use a return estimate of 9% and we double count inflation to be safe, because I'd rather under promise and over deliver, because I think that's the right thing to do. I'd rather you get there a little bit sooner with maybe a bit more rather than get there later or get to where you think you were going to be able to retire and then think, oh, I'm not actually ready yet. I don't have enough, right? I think it's just the right and responsible thing to do, to under promise and over deliver. Another thing we hear all too often, despite talking about what we just talked about, is now isn't a great time for whatever reason. Look, putting everything else aside, you know how much it's going to cost you to wait now. If you didn't know before, you do now because you understand compounding like we've just talked about. The bottom line is the people who dive in with this immediately, they unlock their financial potential immediately and have their custom roadmap in place in about 30 to 60 days. Those who don't, you know what it's like. They slip back into the day-to-day routine, and before you know it, 2 years have gone by, and literally the click of a finger, right? If you've got kids, I know what that's like. And suddenly 2 years have gone by and you're now literally hundreds of thousands of pounds behind where you could have ended up had you just started now. That's just how the compounding works, but it really is obviously your choice, of course. And finally, some people sometimes, especially if they've not seen compounding before, if they've not seen compound interest calculated, if they're not really invested or learned much about it before, some people might think, well, this sounds too good to be true. And look, it's good to be skeptical, especially in today's day and age, but actually, this doesn't sound too good to be true, because this is not a get-rich-quick scheme by any stretch of the imagination, and we are using government-approved, regulated methods of investing and building wealth over the long term, okay? It takes time, it takes patience and consistency, and if you don't put in the work, you will not get any results. I'll be very, very clear with you, right? If I was promising to make you a millionaire tomorrow, next month, even next year, or whatever it is, by just, following some signals and waiting for me to tell you when to buy and sell, and then setting a trade, and then going out for a nice expensive lunch and making 10K, right? That is not what this is. That is a lie. That doesn't work. It isn't real. And this is not what that is. This is time-tested, proven methods. And we've got 400 very happy students, reams of interviews on our YouTube, reams of interviews and testimonials on our Instagram pages, and so on and so forth, right? So hopefully I've helped you kind of see the difference there and maybe help to shift your perspective. Because I think it's important to be able to tell what's real, what's worth it, and what's not. Now, just to remind you though, here are some more of those results from the very system that you have just learned about, right? So we've got Kerry, who can't get her head around the fact that she was able to book a family trip, get a tattoo, and still save for her retirement. Her net worth increased by £16,000 in the space of the first few months in the program. We've got Lewis, who's averaging a 16.9% ROI on the portfolio that we helped him build. We've got Kieran, who's working towards a realistic plan to be financially free at 48. We've got Ryan, who paid off 6 of his 11 creditors in the space of a year and saved £75,000 in interest on his debts in the process. Rick, who's finally cleared a debt that had been hanging over his head and having a serious impact on his mental well-being. We've got Asel and Benny, who both moved from a complete lack of control and clarity over their finances to complete clarity and certainty and confidence. We've got Simon, who's in shock at the clarity his roadmap has provided and the simple steps that he needs to take to be able to retire over a decade earlier than he ever thought possible for him. And James, who has money left in his account before payday for the first time in over a year. And then another James, who you actually heard from at the beginning of this presentation tonight, who basically has gone from financial concern and stress to control and peace of mind, knowing that he's now on track to retire years earlier than he ever thought was possible for him again, right? Now that you've heard all of this information, just like I did at the start of my journey, you have 2 options, right? Just like I did. Option 1, you can take what you've learned today and attempt to build a comprehensive financial plan around, for your future, around everything going on in your life. Now, if you do, I want to be really, really crystal clear about what that needs to cover and address so that you know exactly what you've got to do from here, okay? So if you do that, you'll need that plan to address your month-to-month finances. You'll need a proactive money management system and tracking system, which feeds you the information you need on your monthly free cash flow, savings and investment growth, debt progress and net worth impact, a debt elimination planner, if that's applicable for you, sinking fund and account structuring setup for level loading your yearly finances, accurate FIRE number calculation and iteration schedule, and a tax efficient, low fee investment plan, ISA bridging strategy, and life insurance strategy built around that FIRE number. And you'll need to link all of this to your current circumstances. And I say this really, really seriously, because if you're not tying all of the pieces of your existing financial puzzle together with this plan you're going to try and build, then not only will it leave you eventually feeling very lost and confused sooner or later, but you're also going to miss out on a ton of easy wins and optimizations. And that means you're going to miss out on getting tens, if not hundreds of thousands more in your investment accounts at no extra cost. And if that money isn't there, then obviously that's going to delay your progress even further. Okay, so that's what you need for option one. Option two, obviously kind of goes without saying, is I can help you shortcut the entire process and give you the tools, the knowledge, and a structured system that took me 9 years to develop on day one of your journey, along with obviously the ongoing accountability that you need to actually implement it. So if you do this, you'll have a step-by-step plan tailored to your circumstances in place in the space of 30 to 60 days. No ambiguity, no guesswork, no fear of making huge financial mistakes. Okay, so what does that look like? At this point, it's time to reveal the gift that I've been harping on at you about. Now, I've intentionally reserved it until this point of the presentation so that only those who are actually committed to achieving their financial goals and have stayed to this point of the presentation get the opportunity that you are about to receive. Because for the record, this is exclusively for you because you joined this event, and you won't see me promoting this anywhere else. I never have, and I never will. And most of this is exclusive for this evening. You ready? I'm giving you the opportunity to get access to the Financial Freedom Academy video course. This is normally sold as an add-on for my one-on-one students for £1,097, but I'm offering it to you today to help you implement everything I've laid out for you during this event. And that's not all, okay? I'm giving you £600 off, and also lifetime access to the 36 videos and 4 tools that will walk you through exactly what you need to do step by step to be able to secure your finances and set yourself up for a more comfortable and earlier retirement. Okay, so I've just shared the link in the chat just there so that you can grab yours ASAP, because we do only have 20 of these available. The reason for which I will explain in just a second. I'm just going to drop the link in the WhatsApp group as well for anyone who can't see the chat, because I know someone said earlier that they can't see it. Let me drop that in there. There we go. Right, by the way, with your lifetime access, you get all future updates at no extra cost. That's important to say, because obviously when we first launched this, for context, there was only 22 videos and 2 tools, and now there's 36 videos and 4 tools. So we are continuing to add and improve and grow this program. And obviously, as a result, as you add more value and it creates better results, the cost goes up, right? So if you lock it in today at this price, you'll never pay more. You'll get all the future updates and improvements, but you'll never pay extra. It's just this one-time fee. Now, the reason for this offer, which is the biggest I've ever run on this course and will ever run, is that I believe that if you're watching this, then you are serious about achieving similar results that you've seen me and my clients achieve. It kind of really is as simple as that, right? And if that's the case, then this is the information and knowledge you need to achieve it, because this is the information and knowledge we've used to achieve those goals. And also, but like I said, I'll explain that. So the reason there are only 20 copies is because each person who invests will qualify to book a call with my team, where they'll have the opportunity to apply for the Financial Freedom Academy. And we only obviously have 20 spots available there, because we can only work with so many people in a certain space of time. And therefore, it didn't make sense to have more of these available than we have coaching spots available, because then we might have to let people down. So it felt like the right thing to do. And that's what I want to move on to next. So the thing that I'm really excited to announce, so the bonus gift for everyone who claims the video course, is that when you do join the Academy, I'm going to take a huge £2,000 off your enrollment fee for the one-on-one coaching program. So the one-on-one coaching program is where you get 9 months of one-on-one access to a designated money coach, okay, where you'll have us build your entire lifetime financial roadmap for you and with you, around you and your circumstances. So as you can imagine, obviously that's not £497. So that is an exclusive one-off that I've never done and won't be doing again. Hence why we've obviously had to cap the numbers. So to be clear, the £2,000 off is only for those who purchase the video course, because ultimately you are demonstrating commitment to achieving your goals. So you're the people we want to give our time to. I think that's fair to say. So 7 have gone. Okay, so 7 have gone already. So we've got 7 who have bought and booked their call. Okay, wow. So yeah, if you just make sure that you, when you check out, you book in your call. If anything's kind of not working, it's not, and you book your call, then just refresh the page and it will start working. So whilst you're locking in your space, let me tell you more about what you're actually getting with the course. Okay, so the video course really is as close as you can get to guaranteeing that you'll achieve your goals and become financially free. Because in under 30 days, if you do a video per day, you will be able to identify and fix your self-sabotaging money habits, freeing up thousands of pounds you didn't know you had. You will learn how to master and maintain a budget that enables you to build wealth on autopilot, because it is a monthly rinse and repeat system. You will learn how to systematically eliminate your debt faster, saving, again, thousands of pounds in interest, just like you've seen my students do. You will learn how to build a set and forget investment plan that leads to an earlier, more comfortable retirement for you using time-tested, proven strategies, and learn how to identify exactly how and when you will hit each of your financial milestones with the step-by-step walkthroughs provided in the course. Okay. Now, there is a very good reason why nobody in the Financial Freedom Academy has ever failed. It's because you get all of the information, knowledge, and tools you need without the fluff. You also get a proven, structured, step-by-step system to follow, along with the tools that are built to work with that specific system as you work through it. So it's not like you learn what to do and then suddenly you've got to go and find some tool that kind of does that, but not really very well. This is all built from the ground up to work together. Okay, there is nothing like this out there. It just completely removes the guesswork, and by doing so, it helps you avoid costly mistakes and delays. Okay, so let me just get an update. Another one, 8. Oh no, another 8. Okay, so Christ, what's that? So all right, okay, so 5. We've got 5 left already, and I need to go through the bonuses yet. Right, so whilst you're finding your way over to the page and locking in your copy, link is in the chat and in the WhatsApp group. Okay, let me share the bonuses that you are getting, which is exclusively for this evening as well, by the way. So everyone who purchases this evening is getting access to basically a bonus version of this course where all of the bonuses I'm about to tell you are preloaded into it. Okay, so it's not like you need to access something somewhere else, but let me run through those now. So bonus number 1, when you get the video course, you're going to get an immediate upgrade to the full premium financial freedom tracking spreadsheet Excel, which I showed you earlier. Okay, some of anyway, there's more to it than I showed you earlier. So this is several levels up from the basic version of the budgeting template you might have. You'll be able to set, track, and achieve all of your financial goals faster and easier than you could ever imagine. And also, like I said, lifetime updates are included at no extra cost. The return that you should expect to see from using this tool alone is about £400 a month at minimum. So that is the lowest result that we have seen from after doing what we call the 3-month look back. Basically the improvement of people's average free cash flow before working with us versus after. So just in the first few months, okay? The improvement on the low end, the worst case result has been about £400 a month. The range is up to about £6,500 a month, because we work with everyone from, low income single person households to high income, dual high income single people, dual high income households as well. So you can imagine the difference in the improvements we make vary. So I wanted to go with the low end. So the worst case result that you should expect to see from this one tool, and by the way, actually, that's just from the first tab in that tool, of which there are 8 tabs in that one tool, of which there are 4 in the program, is going to give you a return of about £400 a month, worst case, right? So in a month and a week, it's paid for itself with one tab, of which there are 8, and one tool, of which there are 4. And that's not even getting into the, like I say, the 36 videos in there as well. So I'm saying out loud makes it sound ridiculous. So you can imagine the lifetime benefit of that is literally tens of thousands. I mean, after 1 year, that's £4,800 better off if you're on the low end, okay? In fact, whilst we're on the topic, I would encourage you, once you've purchased, to log into the course as soon as your email instructions arrive. And on that point, basically, once you've checked out, you will get an email saying, name, here's your access to the video course, or here's access to the video course. So your name, here's access to the video course. If that's not in your inbox literally within the space of like a minute, then double check your junk and spam folder. If it's not in your inbox and it's not in your junk and spam folder, then it means you've entered your email incorrectly, and obviously therefore it doesn't know where to send the access email. If that's happened, then reach out to our support. So support@financiallysavvy.co, not .co.uk, not .com.co, okay? And they'll check that you've purchased. You can, they'll find your receipt and they'll link you to your course. But just do that. Log into the course immediately, check your email, so that you can watch the introduction and download this tool that I just talked to you about. That way you can get started literally immediately and we'll see a return on your investment literally within the next few days. It's a no-brainer. So that's bonus number 1, right? You're also going to gain immediate access to the debt elimination walkthrough and debt elimination planning and execution tool. Now, this has helped my clients avoid £23,000 in interest on average and become debt-free 10 years faster. So if you go on. Okay. Yeah, do that. That's fine. Yeah, add the 10. Sorry, team have told me they're all gone. So what we have done is essentially, so we had 20 spots available. We take on 30 people in kind of a cohort. We had 20 reserved for this event tonight and 10 so that people still coming in from social media and our website could still get in as well if they wanted to. But obviously they're not here and you are. So we've closed the program publicly, completely, and we've loaded those 10 onto the website so that you guys have preference to join. So I've been told that they are available now. If there's any issues, just refresh the page, but they are live. What was I saying? So yeah, go to the page, debt elimination. That was the bonus. So yes, so like I was saying, I completely lost my train of thought now. That's blown my mind. I did not expect that. So yeah, like I was saying, if you have debt, this piece of this debt elimination tool and part of the video course is going to pay for your investment today about 52 times over, right? Just based on the average interest savings that people are achieving with that part of the process. Now, if you don't have debt, that's cool. You're going to get this part of the course anyway, because obviously it's kind of like a one size fits all. It's got to cover everything. But you're probably more interested in the next bonus, okay? And congrats to John, Catherine, and Jane who got those last 3. Now, I'm going to reveal another bonus and then do a quick count to see how many we actually have left, just to make sure they don't run out again. But I'm told that they are live. Okay, so next bonus. With the video course, you are also going to unlock everything you need to achieve the success that you've been looking for with your investments once and for all. Now, I know some people might be checking out or might be on the checkout page thinking, but does this include the investment stuff? So let me repeat that again. With the video course, you are going to unlock everything you need to achieve the success you've been looking for with your investments once and for all, okay? You're going to get immediate access to 12 additional video modules covering everything you need to know to be able to achieve financial freedom, or how to invest for financial freedom, okay? That includes what is investing, investment choices and allocations, how to build a portfolio, right? Compounding and the power of now, tax efficient investing, index fund investing and ETFs, investing mistakes to avoid so you don't become another statistic, the true cost of investment fees and how to avoid them, what it takes to pick individual stocks step by step so you know exactly what's involved if you are going to try that, how to build, structure, and manage your portfolio, how to tolerate, manage, and leverage market volatility because it's a necessary inherent part of how the market works, how to calculate your FI number, the 4% rule, and more. Okay, and this is on top of step-by-step video walkthroughs on calculating financial independence numbers in different ways. So ultimately, what you'll end up with is you will know exactly how much you need to invest each month, what type of accounts to utilize for tax efficiency, and how much to put into each account to be the most tax efficient strategy possible, what your allocation percentages should be across your selected asset types, and how to forecast your returns accurately. There is nothing missing, okay? Then, on top of that, to help you with the building and ongoing management and balancing of your portfolio, all of which I show you how to do in the video course, I'm also giving you access to an additional Excel tool, okay? So with this tool, what you can do is you can set your target allocations. And again, I explain more of this in the video course, so you don't need to worry too much about it now, but say you want to spread your money across maybe like 4 different funds, and you want to put 25% in each one of like your overall portfolio. Well, you can say, I want 25% plus or minus 5%, right? You set all of that up in this tool, really, really easy. The video shows you exactly how to do it. And then you input your actual holdings. So how many of each one fund you own, and using some fancy coding, which you can't break, it will keep track of the current market prices, so long as it's got an internet connection, to let you know if and when you verge outside of your plus or minus 5%. And that's important, because it means that you can then make data-driven, informed decisions about what to buy each month, what to sell each month, or maybe even just what to stop buying each month in order to rebalance your entire portfolio. And there's guidance in the video which shows you, what decisions you should make depending on what you're seeing. And that's a game changer, because it's amazing to me how many people say, oh, I've got the investing bit now down. I know what I'm doing. I've been investing for years. And I'm a seasoned investor. And I say, okay, cool. Let's talk about, buying strategy, rebalancing strategy. And then say, sorry, what do you mean balancing? What's that got to do with investing? And I'm like, you've never rebalanced your portfolio. And they're like, no. Or they're doing some version of it thinking they're rebalancing, but they're really not. And they thought they were, seasoned investors, and they really weren't. So this will give you bragging rights over all of your friends who think they're really good investors, because you can talk to them about your rebalancing strategy and the tools that you have. Again, in all seriousness though, it removes the guesswork from the management of your portfolio. Make sure that it's optimized, and ultimately that is going to mean probably better returns achieved for you over time and more money in your pocket as a result. And that's ultimately what I want this course to do for everyone. Now, the next bonus is brand new. So can I just get an update on how many are left? Well, 6 of those 10 are left. So 4 have gone. Okay. So next bonus. Now, this before today was exclusively for my Financial Freedom Academy members. The reason for that is because I need to make sure that there's video guidance to go along with certain tools. I can't just put these expert level financial management and investment management tools out there without providing people with guidance, because that would be not very sensible. So I've got to do my due diligence there. But now that there's a video available, I can offer this. So it's really, really exciting. So you're going to get access to the Safe Withdrawal Rate Risk Calculator. Basically what this is once you've determined your FI number, again, the course shows you how to do that, and your withdrawal rate, again, the course shows you how to do that, you can then plug those numbers into this calculator, and it will back test your data over actual market data between 1929 and 2022. So essentially about 100 years worth of data to say, okay, well, in actual market conditions, how would your portfolio have fared? How would your withdrawal strategy have fared? How many times would you have ended retirement with money left, and how many times would you have run out of money in retirement? And it gives you a statistical likelihood of success. You can then adjust your numbers slightly to give you, depending on your risk tolerance. And again, there's video guidance on how to do that. This is a game changer, again, because it means more peace of mind. Like, how many people do we know? You might even be one of these people yourself who are approaching or at retirement who are just terrified of what that's going to look like, how much they're going to be able to spend. Most people would then get to retirement, and I know I've got uncles and family members who I've helped, but like before helping them have been in this position where they're scared of spending their money because they're just like, I just don't know if it's going to last me, and I want to make sure it does. So they restrict their lifestyle, even though they've worked so hard their whole lives to get to retirement, and now they're worried about spending any of their money. Or they do start spending their money because they don't know the impact. They feel guilty about spending the money that they've saved their whole lives for. That is not how we should be living in retirement. And this tool eliminates all of that doubt, all of that guesswork. It gives you confidence and a statistical likelihood of success. It's honestly so good. More confidence, and ultimately confidence is what encourages you to keep plugging away at your goals, right? Which means, again, higher odds of success, and that means, again, more money in your pocket, right? And then this is really, really special as well. So I'm emailing out access to a case study article that I produced for my academy students titled "The 3 Money Murdering Mistakes That No Financial Advisor Would Dare Tell You." Again, check your junk folder, because I do not want you to miss this module of the course. This article details the 3 key mistakes that I have seen people make every day that is costing them literally hundreds of thousands of pounds over their investing lifetime. But the brutal part is it's just money that they are losing to fees and costs and hidden charges that they just don't see. So it's money they just don't end up with. And it shows you how to avoid making those mistakes, or even how to stop the damage being done to your wealth if you're already making one or more of those mistakes. So you can imagine the return from that. Now, on that point, you can see next to each of those bonuses, I provided the return that you should expect to see and to expect to receive from each one of just those bonuses. Okay, so if we run through the numbers here, let's do that. Okay, so you're already getting £600 off the course that will help you retire, on average 15 years earlier, depending on your circumstances. So let's go worst case there. Let's say it's £600 off a course, and let's say you follow the system and you're only able to retire 5 years earlier than you otherwise would have. And let's attach a value to that. So let's say that each of those years of additional freedom, where money is now no longer an issue and you can retire comfortably with confidence, let's say each one of those years of freedom is worth £1,000. And I've given you 5 of those. Okay, well, that's £5,000 immediately. I mean, if someone was selling years of extra retirement at £1,000 a piece, I'd be maxing out credit cards, right? Don't do that. Then there's the monthly improvement to your expenses of at least £400 a month. So on the low end of what we've achieved, that's £4,800 every year on top of the £5,000 of value from being able to retire 5 years earlier. Again, low end. Then we have the debt modules and tools, which have saved my clients £23,000 in interest and 10 years of their lives that they now won't be making any payments on those debts to line the pockets of the bank managers, where they'll be putting that money towards their own future. Okay, but not counting that and just looking at the 23 grand of interest, that's another £23,000 worth of value. Then there's the modules and tools you need to build your effective, tax-efficient, low-fee investment plan and strategy using safe, long-term, proven, time-tested methods that actually work. I mean, let's face it, unless you know how to do that, and unless you've already got all of that in place, that is going to earn you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds or more over your whole investing lifetime. We're talking silly numbers here. And on top of that, our average student is saving £468,000, like I said earlier, in just investment fees by using this strategy and working with us instead of using an advisor charging a 1.5% ongoing management fee. So it literally sounds ridiculous saying it out loud, but we've got literally a few extra hundred thousands of pounds worth of value to be gained over your lifetime by using this system. And it's £497. So it literally sounds ridiculous saying it out loud. It's making me feel a bit weird. So please, if you're sat there thinking, can I afford £497, or do I want to spend £497 on this, I would instead ask, can I afford to carry on without this course? Can I afford to carry on without this knowledge that I don't have, otherwise I wouldn't be here? Can I afford to carry on without these tools that I don't have, otherwise I wouldn't be here? Can I afford to carry on without the know-how for investing, which I don't have, otherwise I wouldn't be here, right? Because every month you continue without that knowledge, without the structure, without the system, without the tools, without the investing know-how, every month you go on without those is costing you a lot more than £497. Like, if we're put all the BS aside, that's just a cold hard fact, right? So let's see how many we've got left. We can get an update. Okay, we're down to 4, so 6 have gone now. And then I've got one last bonus. I am not done. I have alluded to this one already, so it's not too much of a surprise. But this is something that's really special for the action takers. Okay, so with access to the video course, you are also going to get an exclusive opportunity to apply for the private one-to-one mentorship inside the Full Financial Freedom Academy. So the Academy is where my coaches and I will personally guide a select number of individuals to accelerate their journey to financial freedom. So between us, we have nearly 60 years of experience as financial advisors, accountants, and money coaches. Okay, there are 3 of us. So me, David, and Kathy. But I need you to understand why this bonus in particular is so important. Because, I mean, going off piece a little bit here, but right now the doors to the Academy are closed, right? So we are now intentionally holding off on taking anyone else on, so that only people on this call will get priority consideration to join, because it's just the right thing to do. I think you'll agree. But like I said, I want to reward the action takers. You are the ones that have shown up tonight and shown intent. And on top of that, like I said, everyone who does join the academy, everyone who joins the one-on-one coaching will get a massive £2,000 off your enrollment, which is the biggest money off offer I've ever run. And I know one of the questions in the Q&A will be, okay, well, how much is that? It ranges anything, like our product range is anything from like £47 for our low end budgeting course, all the way up to about £8,000 for premium, ongoing access to coaching. So it depends what you need in between that. And, if you need like debt elimination, if you don't need that and you only need certain things, if you're already at retirement and don't need, the lifetime planning and so on, we've got services to fit you. Okay. So basically, once you get your video course, you book a call, they'll find out more about you and your circumstances, walk you through what would be the best fit, walk you through costs and so on and so forth, apply a discount for you, and then the £2,000 off that we talked about, and then you'll know exactly what to do going forwards, okay? So with that offer, plus the video course gift price, that's going to be £2,600 less than it's going to cost anyone else who hasn't come to this event tonight, which is pretty insane. So once you purchase the video course, you'll be invited to book that 45-minute call with one of my senior team members. A couple of them are based in the US. We've got someone in Canada, someone in the US, one in the UK as well, just so you're aware. But during that call, they'll ask a few questions just to dive deeper into your circumstances, to assess if you're a good fit for the academy, and really just determine if we can deliver the level of results that we are known for, right? Just like we did for Matt, who went from depleting his savings with no future plans to investing an extra £500 a month and now being set to retire at 47. Juliana, who went from absolutely no goal, no plan, and literal financial anxiety to saving an extra £4.5 grand a month and now being set to retire at 51, and so on. So look, if you're serious about getting the best possible roadmap in place for your financial future and would like one-to-one support, literally having us hold your hand through the entire process from the ground up, all the way from start to finish, I urge you to take this opportunity, because there really is nothing else out there like this. Get your video course, the tools, and lock in your call and jump on the opportunity to join the academy. Like I said, with 2,600 off what it's going to cost anyone else. Because if you do, you could be the next person we interview for our client success videos. If you want to be. Some people don't want to be, of course. Some people don't want their face on the internet, and that's fine. But a lot of people are really, because they're so happy with it, they're more than happy to do it. Now, we talked earlier about your options, right? Option one being try to do this all yourself over the next few months and years, and hopefully not making too many costly mistakes, which are inevitable. I've been there. And option two being this course and the academy giving you everything you need, and us building your entire lifetime plan for you in the space of 30 to 60 days. And also, by the way, guaranteeing that you get the results you want or you get your money back plus another £500. So to say that again, we have a level of results that you need to achieve that we set a marker for, right? So if you don't get at least what you paid to join back, then you get your money back plus another £500 for wasting your time. Because look, I get it. I get what it's like being on the other side and feeling like it's a risk taking a leap with this kind of stuff. So I want to take the risk off of you and put it onto us. So put the onus onto us. If we don't deliver, if you're the first person that we let down, we don't deserve your money, right? And that's why we would never even attempt to sell this to someone we didn't think was a good fit for it and wouldn't benefit from it, right? Because if they do, we refund them and we give them another £500 for wasting their time. So moving on from that, I've been running this program for, like I said, it launched January 2023, so just over 3 years now. And we've spoken to a lot of people since then. And of course, some of them do opt to go it alone, right? And that means they don't get the video course, they don't get any one-on-one help, and they say, I'm just going to wing it and try my best to do what I can do. Insane. But in those cases, I always follow up with them 6 months later to see how they are doing. Okay, and now we've got a team of people doing this now. And this is what we have seen with those who took option one. Firstly, if you don't get the video course and you don't get any help, what's going to happen is the overwhelm we talked about earlier, which you all accepted, you're all feeling, I've been there, that stays. That doesn't go away, because the steps, the decisions, the options that are available to you, not knowing your exact starting point, that continues to be the case because you still have no structure, no system, no tools, and no help, right? So you just don't start, and life and opportunity just continues to pass you by. If you do start, then ultimately you'll get to a point where you will very possibly and probably mess up when it comes to choosing between various investment platforms, asset types available to you. That often leads to you choosing the wrong or maybe the less optimal option, and therefore paying tens of thousands more in fees and over your investing lifetime. And you also won't be educated on how to optimize for tax efficiencies, and obviously then will further lose out on maybe tens of thousands more that you could have had in your pocket later in life once that's all also then compounded on top of your contributions. Okay, so it really kind of is like a plethora of stuff that all does add up and compound. On top of that, you will often end up obviously kind of like lacking the confidence that you need to continue investing, because you'll have a bunch of questions, and because you don't have anyone helping you and holding your hand through this, you'll fear that you're doing the wrong thing. And because you don't have that sounding board, that person to go to see if you're doing the right thing, you'll probably just stop. And then your kind of progress does stop with that, right? Now, look, in all seriousness, in the 3 years that I've been, well, 3 and a bit years now that we have been following up with people who took option one, who didn't get the video course or the one-on-one help, we have spoken with 800 people, just about 817 people now who have actually picked up the phone. So far, none of them, 0% of them have made any progress whatsoever after 6 months of choosing to go it alone. And you might be thinking, well, Joe, it's only 6 months, like cut them some slack, life goes fast. And that's my exact point, right? That is the problem, because ultimately I see the other side. I see that these people are now losing out on years of their life that they could have been financially free, if not, tens, if not hundreds of thousands that they could have had in their investment portfolio had they just started sooner. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anyone. Right? I don't know anyone who would want that for anyone, because I then see those who did and do take the leap with us, who join the full program, they get their roadmap in place and built within 30 to 60 days. They're saving thousands more than they ever thought they could. They're becoming debt-free faster than they ever thought they could. They're saving on average 23 grand in interest on their debts. They've got an investment plan and strategy in place that has them set to retire years earlier on the passive income that we're helping them build. So the gap, right? The gap between those who didn't invest in themselves and those who did is now huge after literally just 6 months. And that gap is now growing exponentially every single day. And those people who waited even just 6 months will never be able to catch up to those people who just got started on day one today. So you just got to ask yourself, like, really, and I do genuinely mean this, ask yourself, which side do you want to be on, right? The side with those who are progressing and accumulating wealth every day with a clear path to financial freedom, or the side with those who are stuck where they've been for years, literally going backwards as you continue to just fail to unlock your full wealth potential. And I know I've been there. I wish I started earlier as well, right? But this is like, when the opportunity came to me, I just took it, jumped on it, and went full steam ahead. And I've never looked back, right? And everyone I've helped says the same thing. They've not looked back, best money they've ever spent, so on and so forth. So kind of, take that as you will. And please excuse my like enthusiasm and passion. I don't mean to come across as like overbearing in any way, but this stuff it's changed my life. It's literally changed my entire future for myself, my family, my daughter, and every person we have implemented this with has also completely transformed their financial lives. Right? You've seen the comments they made, the testimonials, the interviews all over my YouTube and my Instagram. Like, these are real people getting real future altering results. Okay. I'm not a salesperson, right? I just have a service and a product that really works. That's really what this comes down to. And just really, so I'm not going to apologize for my passion. Now, obviously, moving on from that and start ranting. I've already ranted. Anyway, look, we have obviously a lot more people who want option two, i.e., having it all done for you, than we actually have spaces available. Kind of goes without saying, right? So we've still got over 1,200 people across 2 platforms still on this call, and only 30 of them will be able to actually access the course and the tools and have the opportunity to upgrade to the program as well. Now, the reason for that limit kind of goes without saying, right? My team of 2 coaches and I can literally only physically work with so many people. And therefore, we will only take on the number of clients in 1 month that we know we can provide a very high level of service to, because it's just the right thing to do. That comes for us above anything, right? So that's the most important thing. And that's why only those who purchase the course will get this opportunity, to ensure really that we're giving our time to those who really want it. I think that's fair to say. Now, it may be that you are unable to get a place if you haven't already, but you should be able to see the link to grab your copy in the chat if you haven't already. If there are any left, I'm just going to copy that and paste that in there again, just in case anyone cannot see it. We've still had people joining even as late as this, so I'm just going to put that in there. Make sure that's in the WhatsApp as well. Yeah, it is cool. Already in there. Lovely. Look, I really hope that you jump on this and give yourself this. For me, this is all about you giving yourself the best chance for your future and your family's financial security as well. And goes without saying how excited I am to help as many of you as possible. So just make sure you get yours locked in ASAP to avoid disappointment. Click the link, check out, select a time and date for your call, fill in the brief form just so we know a little bit about you from the off, about what you want to do and what you want to get out of this, where you're currently at. And that's it. That's all you need to do. We'll take it away from there. If for any reason you decide not to claim this one-time offer tonight and you decide to try and give this a go on your own, knowing now the statistical likelihood of that resulting in no progress after 6 months, despite those people who are doing it getting progress after, literally days, then that's, it's probably a sign you're not a good fit for this. And if we never speak, that's totally okay. Ultimately, not everyone is built for this. But I would just encourage you to take some form of action, no matter what it is. Just take one step forward today with your finances and do something. Do something before it's too late and you find yourself in a place where you can't actually afford to save enough to achieve the retirement lifestyle you wanted and end up having to make concessions on your quality of life. Okay, I think that's really, really important. Right, let's go through Q&A. I just really hope that this training has been that kind of like stepping stone towards like guidance that you've needed to encourage you to take some form of action. All right, let's go through these questions. I'll do as many of these as I can because wow, okay, time has gone fast. We are over by quite a bit. All right, I'll get through as many of these questions as I can then. Do you have the one-on-one coaching to achieve results if you cannot afford to do so at the moment, or can you start with the video course? Yeah, either way, Zoe, you need the video course, because even if you just do the video course, obviously you need the video course, and if you do the one-on-one coaching, you still need the video course as well, because it contains all the tools, the knowledge, the resources, and the education. So that's there so that people who have even used the one-on-one coaching can go back to that at any point in their lifetime to remind them of how their plan was built by us, why it was built in a certain way, to be able to help them keep it up to date. All of those kind of like step-by-step resources are in there as well. So yes, you can absolutely start with a video course, but kind of goes without saying, right? Video course is great, and I wouldn't offer it if it wasn't absolutely amazing. It's my entire life's work. But it kind of goes without saying, obviously, any kind of video course can only get you to a certain point before you're going to have to make certain decisions yourself about things, because only you have those circumstances. That's where the one-on-one comes in for a lot of people, and where it kind of pays itself over, time and time, it like pays for itself multiple times over, because then we get to know you and your circumstances, and we can use our, 60 plus years of combined experience to build you the best possible plan, to get you the best possible step-by-step process to get you from where you are to where you want to be, and to give you, like I say, all that low-hanging fruit that you often didn't even know was available until we just kind of like handed it to you on a plate and said, do this, and here's why. And here's why that makes sense. All right. So, and there are also payment plans available for the one-on-one coaching, but there's also payment plans available for the video course on the website as well. So if you can't do the 497 in one go, there's the option to spread it over 2, 3, or 4 months. Obviously, the longer you spread it out, it gets slightly more. It's not much, but it's basically the cost that the payment provider we have passes on. So it's kind of unavoidable, unfortunately, but just there to make it accessible for everyone. So you can see even more of these comments flashing up on the screen now. Mohammed, I missed my chance to join. So there I'm being told there is still 4 available. It might be the page is taking a while to just refresh the page. If it's saying that they're gone, refresh the page. So I'm told there are some available. Can I pay with Apple Pay? I think so. I think that's an option on there. To be honest, I'm not certain. Can someone tell me if they can use Apple Pay at checkout? Yes, I'm told that you can. It might depend on your location a little bit, but yeah, if you go on there, you should be able to use Apple Pay. Juanita, so that's taken care of. Joey, I'm 52. Is it too late for me? No, we've got students who are 68 in the program. We've got multiple students in their 60s. We've got students in their 20s. Ultimately, like I said, if you've got an income and the desire for a better future, and you feel like you could be doing more, you feel like you want to get more out of your retirement, get yourself into the best possible position for retirement, and understand how it all links together, and then also know what your retirement is actually going to look like, then 100% this is exactly where you want to be. Okay. Yeah, so answered that one. Oh God, the questions are still coming in. Mandy has asked how much it would be for a payment plan. So if you're referring to the video course payment plans, I don't want to misquote the numbers, but they are on there. So it will say under each one what the payment plans are. Payment plans for the one-on-one coaching depends what service you need, and obviously that depends on your circumstances, and I don't know that. But when you get through to booking your call, they'll explain exactly what that looks like and exactly what your options are. Okay, it's all crystal clear upfront. Give you all the information you need so you can make an informed decision. Okay. Okay. Someone has asked, what's the realistic time frame for results? Really good question, actually. Obviously, it's going to depend majorly on you and your circumstances. But ultimately, we have kind of like KPI timeframes for what we aim to get people to when they join the program. Ultimately, it should take you no longer than about a week to 2 weeks to complete the initial kind of fact finding for us to get the understanding of your circumstances. Some people do it in a day, some people take it, a month. Really depends on how busy your life is. But if you can get that to us literally in the space of the first week, then once we've got that information, we set up your call. That call is normally booked in literally within basically when you're available. We send over our calendar links, you book in. Once you're on that call, that's when the results get delivered. So that's when we start implementing the changes, putting optimizations in place, putting systems and structure in place for your literally everything from like your bank account structure, level loading practices, debt elimination if that's applicable, savings plans for emergency funds, getting you optimized to make sure you're earning the most interest possible, optimizing where pensions are, getting them combined if that's something that you need to do, and so on and so forth. So it literally starts from that first call, and then it's a case of you implementing those steps with our help, coming to us when you need more help, and us then having calls beyond that once you've implemented those steps, and then we move to the next part of the process, and so on and so forth. Kind of like an iterative like team kind of like process that you work with your coach on, and then we keep going and doing those calls until your roadmap is completely finalized, and even beyond that point continue to support you for the rest of your time within the program. Okay. Where's that question gone? There we go. Okay, thank you. No worries, Mandy. Right, let's do another question that's going to help a lot of people. Where do I find the link to join, please? I missed that. The link is in the chat, Carl. It's also in the WhatsApp group. So if you have booked, we have added more slots to the calendar as well. So if you were shown that there weren't any slots, just refresh the page, and then you'll be able to book. The link, Carl, is in the chat and in the WhatsApp group. If you can't see that, I'm not sure how to help you, I'll be honest. So yeah, try and join the chat. You should see the webinar chat in your Zoom toolbar. Open that up and you should see the link there, okay? All right. Okay, that's that one. Mohammed, will an offer like this come along later down the line when I've got the funds? Obviously, I don't know. We don't have any plans to do another event at this point in time because obviously we've nearly put out, what's that, 27, 26 copies of this, 26 people who will potentially be joining the one-on-one. So we're going to be busy for a while. So I don't know. I can't say for certain. I would say lock this in now if you do have the opportunity to do so. I don't want to say there's a guarantee that it's, the next round is going to be on this date because I just don't know. We want to make sure that we deliver for everyone who's already committed to us because we commit to everyone who commits to us wholeheartedly, and then we'll go forward from there. Okay. All right. Answered that one. Let's do some more questions that are going to help as many people as possible. So Ashley, if you've bought the one-on-one, I see. Sorry. So yeah, if you've purchased the video course, but you didn't get the strategy session because you closed the page, we'll reach out to you. So my team are monitoring the chat and the Q&A now. So Roman, hopefully you can see that and you can reach out to Ashley and get her to book her call. Okay. So they'll reach out to you, Ashley. All right. Let's go through some more questions. Yes, you can pay monthly. Ashley, does a human help you if you sign up, or is it self-learning only? So obviously the video course is self-learning, self-paced, DIY. If you then upgrade to the one-on-one coaching, then obviously, yeah, you'll get a designated coach who works with you for 9 months, right, to deliver you and works with you and builds your entire lifetime financial roadmap with you, but for you. Okay, so it's obviously a very, very kind of like white glove service. That's why it's so worth doing. Okay. So this is a good question. Lisa has asked, in your examples, you're using like 15 to 25 years when I've done those compound interest examples. And obviously, like I said, take those with a grain of salt. Not everyone has that time horizon. Some people have got longer, some people have less, some people are spot on, right? The key point really, your question is, what is the minimum period to achieve a reasonable investment? We're not, as part of the strategy we implement, it's not about investing to a point and then cashing out the full amount and then just depleting it down to zero. That's not efficient. That's not what your future generations would want, right? It's not what you want, because obviously you've got higher likelihood of running out and bad markets. The strategy that we use is about building up a pot between whatever your point now is and maximize, because you're already going to have some kind of pots. They might just be a bit scattered about, optimizing as much as possible every single thing you have going on. So it's all built into a cohesive, robust plan that's going to get you to the best retirement outcome possible, seeing how much we can maximize contributions between now and when you would feasibly have enough to be able to retire. And then it's about investing beyond that point as well, because then you're going to implement a drawdown strategy via the process that we implement, the 4% rule, which means you're going to invest from now to when you can feasibly have enough to implement the 4% rule, and then implement the 4% rule through retirement. Your money actually remains invested. So it's not a case of saying, what's the minimum period to invest for a reasonable investment return, because we don't stop investing. We carry on. It's just at some point we start actually accessing it, but only at a rate of 4% over time. It just needs to be structured appropriately. Okay. So that's not financial advice. You need to work with someone like us to actually implement that process to make sure it's tailored to you and you don't miss out on any details. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. All right. Here's a good question. CB, what is the risk? The last 2 decades have seen several financial crises, market crashes, Brexit, COVID, Liz Truss. Are investments safe from the impact of such crises? Those are undoubtedly crises, but they are also massive opportunities, right? In that time frame, in the last 2 decades, let's have a look. Let's have a look at what the market has done in the last 2 decades. Right. So if I bring this up, how do I do this? Give me 2 seconds and I will answer that question very thoroughly. All right, make sure I bring out the right one. All right, let's do this one. 2 decades would take us to 2006, right? Yeah, cool. Let's share my screen so you can actually see what I'm looking at here. There we go. Share. Right, so hopefully you can see that. Let's see. Yep, you're looking at this. So, good question. The last 2 decades have seen several financial crises. We're talking about the 2008 financial crisis, Liz Truss, COVID, Ukraine war, now the Iran war as well. Well, going back to 2006 then, like if you're investing here, and yes, there have been a lot of crises in that time, but if you consistently invested throughout that time, the market has returned 424%. So where's the risk, right? And I say that with a little bit of a gist, right? But the long and short of it is, if you're investing for the long term, which we are, just regardless of what your initial time horizon is to get you from now to retirement, most people's retirement is going to be hopefully 20, 30 plus years. The chances of a positive return in the stock market, if you're investing for 15 years, are over 99%. If you're investing for 20 years or more, your chances of a positive return are 100%. Like, it doesn't get any kind of clearer cut than that, right? Every single time the market has gone down by 10, 20, 40, 90% within the space of weeks, months, or a few years, it has gone on to hit new all-time highs. Every time. without doubt, without exception, every single time throughout history that the market has gone down, it's gone on to hit new all-time highs. The 4% rule that we use is built based on actual market data over a 100-year time frame. So it takes into consideration the Great Depression, World War II, the 2008 financial crisis, the dot-com bubble, the millennium bug, the Korean War, the Cuban Missile Crisis, everything that happened between 1929 and 2022, okay, which is a lot, okay? And the 4% rule has worked in every single one of those circumstances. So long as you had a retirement period of about 30 years, you had a drawdown of 4% and normalized inflation at 2.5%, the statistical likelihood of success is something like 98%, right? Which is really bloody good odds. Like if you were going in for a life-saving operation and the odds of survival were 98%, you'd take those odds in an instant. And then there's other things that you can factor into the calculation to actually take you very much close to 100%, because that doesn't include state pension, it doesn't include equity release, it doesn't include any other forms of income you might have, okay? So that's what I would say about risk there. All right, let's bring the slides back up. Okay. All right. So yeah, we'll teach you all about this. Like there's theory and everything all about the 4% rule, how it works, why it works. There's documents that you get when you're in the one-on-one coaching program. You also get you get basically additional access to additional resources and tools, including documents on why you should use the 4% rule, how it works in practice, the theory behind it, and so on and so forth. A lot of it is captured in the video course, but you get additional kind of one-on-one help on how to ensure that your portfolio, all of your investment accounts, are set up to be compatible with the 4% rule based on the plan that we have obviously built you. And because we haven't built your plan, if you do the video course, because you haven't worked one-on-one with us, obviously we can't share that because we don't know what you've done and it might not be compatible with what you're doing. So that's the difference there. Right, let's do another 2 questions and then we will call it. Savita, I would like to purchase the course, but we need serious hand holding as I have no idea how to proceed. So basically, the video course you'll need, because it's got the instructions, literally step-by-step, crystal clear instructions. It's like, fill out this tab and here's how you fill it out. Now go do it. Then fill out this tab, here's how you fill it out. Now go do it, right? And it's literally kind of step-by-step, really self-explanatory. But it sounds like you'll need one-on-one help. If you're literally saying, I need hand-holding, then obviously the hand-holding only comes with the one-on-one, and the one-on-one isn't included in the video course, because obviously it's the video course, that's the DIY version. But getting the video course gives you a £2,000 discount off your enrollment. So that's what I would say is going to be the best kind of step forward for you there. Okay. Right. No, Victoria, you're not going to miss any more of the presentation. It's just I'm just answering as many of these questions as I can get through before I go to bed, basically. So yeah, feel free to go to sleep and get good night's rest so you're up and rested for your babies. All right. Asha, if you've booked but can't see a confirmation email for your 45-minute appointment, then double check your spam and junk folder. That it will probably be in there. Okay. Gaz, I think the recording has actually worked, so we will send it out. So we'll notify you as soon as that's been checked for compliance and has the appropriate edits, and then we'll send that out. Right. Okay. Okay, we've got some other questions here. So will I have to undergo any training for this? No. So everything is included. Everything you need to know is included in the course already. Someone has said, presumably you and your company will make money by either selling your template and or charging me for setting up a portfolio. Nope, not the case. So the only fees, we're completely transparent about this. So the only fees are the cost for the video course, which everyone needs, whether you do the program or not. like the one-on-one or not. And then if you do decide to do the one-on-one, then we'll tell you exactly what that one-off fee is, and then that's it. There's no fees beyond that, unless after that time of working together, you want to continue keeping access to us for this ongoing support and, you know, help with keeping your roadmap up to date. If that's something you want, then that is something we can offer, but we don't, you know, it's not an obligation or anything like that. So we don't charge you for like templates beyond this or anything like that. It's just the one-off fee you pay up front, and that's it. That's what differentiates us from traditional FAs. Is we have one crystal clear upfront fee, and that's it forever. Whereas an FA charges an ongoing management fee. That management fee is calculated in some dubious ways sometimes, which makes it result in a higher fee than it actually says. So it'll be a fee of say 1.5%, but the impact of the fees might be 1.6, 1.7, 1.8%. And compounded over time, that racks up to a lot of money. So that's how we mainly differentiate ourselves from traditional FAs. David, one of our head money coaches, he was a financial advisor for 35 years. He started and raised and sold two financial advisory companies himself, and worked for another one as well before he has kind of sat on the board and then assisted in the sale of that one as well. So really, really experienced financial advisor there. And he actually stopped doing what he was doing there to come and work within my program because he believes so much in what we do here and detests the industry for the hidden fees and the kind of sharky tactics they use. So that's what I would say about that. Someone said, what if I don't know what my end goal is? This is exactly what we help you to determine. So there's literally instructions in the video course on how to do that, but obviously if you're working one-on-one with us as well, we'll help you determine what your end goal is and also build out the plan for achieving that end goal and show you how to actually, you know, execute on it as well. Right. What if you've got children and want to provide a financial future for them as well as yourself? Yeah, so this is exactly why this program was created, because I myself had a daughter on the way when I wanted to try and improve in my circumstances. So a lot of that is built in. There's actually some additional modules that only the people in the one-on-one get around investing for your kids' future as well. So some additional help that you'll get there. But if there's specific goals that you have for your kids for their future, if you want pensions or ISA set up for them, that's something we bake into your lifetime financial roadmap because it's part of your life. Okay. Sorry, I was reading more questions. So someone has said something along the lines of, how is this financial freedom if it's all long term? It's not that it's all long term. What we do when we build out the roadmaps is we work from the ground up. So we start with building and laying really, really strong foundations. Okay. It's a metaphor for basically establishing a money management system, eliminating your debt, getting an emergency fund in place, making sure everything is optimized, especially if you have debt, building a really solid and robust, sustainable and realistic debt elimination plan. Also going right back to basics with your monthly money management system, putting optimizations in place there, level loading practices to make sure that your outgoings are consistent every single month, even if you have sporadic income, so that you've got consistency in your monthly finances for the first time ever for a lot of people. It's about putting bank account structuring processes in place to just minimize the admin, as well as automating a lot of the processes. So taking a lot of work off of your plate whilst actually optimizing further, minimizing kind of the impact of, you know, unexpected costs and things like that, or unexpected overspends on certain items by keeping things segregated in a certain way. Obviously, I'm not going to get into the detail because this is kind of what we do step by step. I don't want to guide anyone with a specific piece of like instruction that might actually hurt them, because I don't understand obviously every one of your circumstances. So we work on all of that short-term stuff to build really, really solid foundations upon which we can then build your long-term plan for establishing financial freedom. So then that's going to include everything beyond money management system, debt elimination, emergency fund planning. If there's something medium-term that we need to do, such as, I don't know, saving for kids' education costs, or a car, or a home deposit, or renovations, or caring for a parent or something like that, that's going to be baked into this as well if it needs to be. And then we get into, once we've established all of that, okay, how do we optimize what you already have in terms of your investments to make sure everything is set up properly, is low fee and high performing, depending on your risk appetite, your time horizon, and the goals that you want to achieve. And then how much more can we get going into those investments? What's the plan for that? Does that need to be staged over time? Have you got expenses that are going to drop off in the future that we can factor into that? And this is where we come and earn our fee, basically. This is where we earn what you're paying us for, is we figure all of that out, do all of the complicated maths, and then map it all out for you in a document that is step by step that you then own. And we then teach you how to keep it up to date over your lifetime so that you never need to pay us or a financial advisor or a planner ever again, because you know what you got to do. You got your plan, you can focus on just executing it, and you know if you follow it and you continue to follow through with it, that you're going to get to your goals, and one day you're going to retire and not have to worry about money anymore. And it really kind of is as simple as that. Right, I'm going to go to bed now, but it's been great chatting to you all. Like I said, I really hope you all jump on this and take the opportunity to get the help that you wanted with your finance, get the progress you wanted to see with your finances as well. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to put the support email address in the chat just so everyone has it. So support@financially savvy. Did I spell that right? There we go. So that is the support email address. I'll drop the link for the course one more time as well in there. And then you've got everything you need. Anyone in the WhatsApp group will update you over the next couple of days if there's anything going on, just so you know how many copies are left. I'll share the link to the WhatsApp group in the chat here as well, just in case anyone here isn't already in there. So let me grab that. Where is it? There it is. Link. There we go. So that is the link for the WhatsApp group for anyone who needs it. Okay, right. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you all. We are so excited about helping as many of you as we can over the next few weeks. I've been told that there are still 3 spots left for the video course. So make sure you lock one in if you haven't already. And yeah, have a great rest of your evening. And I look forward to speaking with many of you very, very soon.